Two sides to a story, but they never tell my side. Never been the kind of gotta stay inside the guidelines. I know I'm the best.
Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in that wonderful Technicolor rainbow in between, welcome. It's been a bit. We're back here in week 5 of the AEL regular season, our final week, and we have a hell of a matchup for you tonight. I'm Bo3, and joining me on that side, I'm pretty sure I pointed right, is Quacks. How you doing tonight, Quacks?
Good. Finally, the spectator bugs are fixed. Everything is back to normal. Hopefully, knock on wood, don't want to jinx it. But yeah, we will be viewing the game live this time around. So no more replay files. Hopefully for at least a little bit, at least give us 1 week break of this. And yeah, we are here. We are here with a live match between two incredible teams, right? Fighting for first. It's Sun Rush and Bing Chillers. They are fighting for first place in their respective division, as this is the last week of the regular season playoffs. We are in week 5, so it is not do or die time for either of these teams. Being first seed really helps you out in the playoffs. And we're going to have to wait to see which of these teams is going to take it home. Both 3-0, both incredibly storied. And yeah, I honestly can't wait.
Yeah, like you said, both these teams 3-0. It really is just a matter of who's going to be taking home first and who's going to be taking home second. And while it does matter a lot for seeding and for playoffs and deciding your potential opponent, I think both of these teams are here just to try and scope out the competition, per se. If we think that this is one of the stronger rosters of the groups, and these are two of the strongest teams in the group, potentially for a lot of the teams who could be watching this VOD back and looking at this matchup, seeing two teams that could potentially make a semifinals, a finals run, it's going to be a lot of good information. We'll have to see how much these teams can give away in their drafting and in their game plan, and how much they can actually keep close to their chest.
Absolutely. I think that both of the teams have a lot to offer, and I think that teams watching this VOD are going to get a good read on both of them because they are expected to be pushed to their limits in this game, right? These are going to be the toughest opponents both of these teams have faced. And, you know, these teams, they're no strangers to facing each other. Bing Chillers and Sun are both organizations that have been around for a really long time, right? They've been very prevalent in the Aegis scene, in that sort of emerald, diamond, platinum rank area. They have been sort of two incredibly dominant orgs. They faced off against each other a bunch of times. And, you know, this is going to be another series to add to that sort of versus battle between them. I think in particular, though, both of the teams and squads have a lot of histories in their players, right? Some Rush, you have Rutledge and Zooey, the solo laners of the team, really spearheading this operation. Two incredible veterans who have been in the scene for a really long time, played with a lot of different players, produced a lot of incredibly high results. And against them is Bing Chillers, right? You have players like Technics, who are superstars in the jungle around this scene. Super Chase, who is a superstar top laner in this scene, right? So it is going to be players with a lot of story, players with a lot of history going against one another. And I think that that's going to add to just how dominant these players and these orgs have become over the years.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that could be said about this matchup, but I do want to talk really quickly about the predictions coming into this series, because I think based on what I've seen people talk about, it does seem to be pretty back and forth, although our desk here on the side of Bing Chillers just a little bit in that regard. But across the board, I think a lot of people are expecting this to be a 3-game series.
I mean, I wouldn't have it any other way. I think both of the squads are good at adapting. I think if you look at their champion pools, if you look at what they can do and who they can pull out at any given time, it should be no surprise that if a team loses, or if one of the teams is on the losing side, as competition may have it, then they'll adapt, they'll figure out what was wrong, and they'll fix their mistakes. And so I'm not only expecting this to go to 3 games, but I'm expecting each game to be more and more adaptive, more and more well played, because these teams really like to ramp up when it comes to series. They really prefer to fix their mistakes, and they really prefer to go into each game with a different mindset, something different that the enemy team can't necessarily predict. And that's why I think this first game is super duper important, getting that momentum right out of the gate.
Yeah, and I think it's really important that for both of these teams combined, they've dropped a single game across their whole series. It's been a lot of 2-0s, a lot of strong performances from both of them. But like you said, sometimes that game 1 is a little slow. So I think that momentum from game 1 coming into game 2 is really going to be so important in figuring out who's going to come on top on this series. We are waiting a little bit longer just to see if the players can get into the lobby. Some of the players are having some connection issues with their client. It's the Riot client. You know what you're going to do. Quax, do you have any particular predictions for champions that you think we might see in the draft today? Any strong ones that you're hoping to see, or any ones that you think might make it through just because they've got that edge in terms of player comfort?
I mean, we're on 14.4, right? Changes have come in both of the teams, adapting to sort of any new meta picks. In particular, though, I mean, it's no surprise that I would really like to see that Varus in the bot lane. I think that this pick is incredibly versatile in not only what it builds, but how it can play. It's got a good laning phase. It scales well. There are several items that work on the champion, and it has a lot of supports that work well with Varus. Varus doesn't really complain about his support. He's versatile in all aspects of his duo lane partner. So I would expect that to be B1 for Sunrush, who are in themselves incredibly versatile in play, right? Sometimes you'll see Vornati, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm just going to pronounce it Vornati. Sometimes you'll see Vornati and Rabble play aggressive things like the Callista. Renata can come out, or you'll see them play passive things like the Ezreal Karma. But I would expect against a team like Big Chillers, who know the meta, have adapted just as well as Sunrush, and you being blue side, you're going to want to take what you can get. You're going to probably want to take a strong bot side pick like Varus away immediately.
Yeah, and for that side, I think also the top lane matchup for both these teams is really going to be so important for them as we're going to step into the draft here. It really is such a big deal for these teams, especially Rutledge, a player who really loves that counter pick and loves to try and play around his own particular picks and trying to play to his own kind of style. I'm wondering how they're going to sort of validate that idea of, oh, we want to play around top lane, but at the same time, we don't want to give up too many strong picks in the bottom side.
Yep, and you can see from the drafts, we have a decent amount of bot lane focus here, along with the jungle focus. You can see that Vi, Brand, and Gragas, along with the Talia, are all taken away. That is actually going to be a Maokai last ban. So yeah, lots of focus being around this jungle support area, taking away some champions that can flex into both of those roles are also being taken away. And I really like to see this consistent focus on these roles from both teams.
Yeah, like you said, a lot of jungle focus and some support focus in there as well with the Bard and the Maokai, if you see Maokai running down to support as opposed to the jungle. But it is going to give Sunrush pretty much the pick of the litter. First pick blue side here. I know you were mentioning the Varus being really strong in the meta right now and a potential comfort pick for these players. I'm wondering to see if that one will get through or if maybe we'll see something a little bit more spicy. No, we're sticking with some tried and true meta picks. It's going to be the Karma round one.
Yeah, Karma is not surprising to see at all, right? We were talking about strong picks right out of the gate. And, you know, flex is kind of the name of the game in the AEL and the APL. A lot of these teams, especially the top ones, love to be one champions that can go in multiple different roles. And both Zui and Rabble are familiar on this pick. It's no surprise to see it picked up B1. Now, Big Chillers, I'm expecting for them to try and go with something aggressive. I think the Callista is going to be slammed. You could also see the Renata paired up with that, maybe an Alistar paired up with that, or a Blitzcrank, I think, is also available. Basically, just increasing the amount of disruption you can get by utilizing that Callista R, while also having a lot of pressure in the early game for Callista to abuse.
Yeah, Callista Renata has been one of the strongest bottom lane pairings, both in solo queue and in the competitive play. If you've been watching any of the bigger regions, the LCK especially, I think, loves this bottom side duo, and Big Chillers do as well. They're going to lock that one in. Personally, as a support player, I love seeing Renata. Always a really fun champion to watch. Always a really fun champion to play as well. So not too shocking to see Big Chillers grab that one for themselves. I'm wondering how Sunrush are going to respond, though, as this is, like we said, really powerful bottom lane 2 versus 2. There has been a couple of very strong champions who have made their way through the draft, and that's a twisted fate. You were talking about flexibility. TF is kind of the master of it currently.
Twisted Fate is still one of the best champions in the game, right? They nerfed his AP ratios, but that doesn't stop ADTF from being a complete menace in the draft and overall just in the game in general, right? The W, all of the different types of cards deal so much damage. Destiny is also an incredibly useful tool to have, and it kind of forces Big Chillers' bot lane to opt into giving Callista the cleanse. You really don't have any other option in that regard. You have to go this cleanse summoner spell, which could halt some of the aggression that this Callista Renata lane is looking to go for, particularly around these level 1 through 3 trades, out of fear that the Twisted Fate could potentially roam on down, or if this is a TF bot lane, just simply gold card and ruin this Kallista's day.
Yeah, and on those third picks, the teams are going to grab their junglers, or what we're assuming to be junglers, with the Wukong and the Lilia locked in. While they could both head towards top lane, I think we would be surprised to see either of them go up there. Maybe the Lilia if it's a really, really good matchup. But Sunrush not putting a lot of focus into their bottom lane if this Karma and Twisted Fate are going towards those solo lanes, which is kind of what we expect out of them. But keeping the draft open on their end, I think, is exactly what they want to see. And Bing Chillers focusing down the Trundle, I think, is a surprising ban for me. I'm wondering if they are thinking more about flexibility, as Senna is still unbanned and has decent pairings with Wukong if they want to try and be really, really spicy and save that jungle ban for last. But it seems like both sides are actually pretty happy focusing down top lane junglers, I'll call them, with the Udyr and the Trundle.
This is a pick that Rutledge has been kind of cooking up in solo queue, is going to be that Udyr. They're banning it away, I think, just to make sure that it doesn't get picked up by Big Chillers here, because they will inevitably have that first pick coming out of the bans. But yeah, mostly it's just top laners being banned. Alawi is being taken away. I would also maybe not be surprised to see something like a Malphite taken away, just increasing that sort of team fight power that Big Chillers are already going for, that multiple AoE damage champions going through. And it looks like to finish off the bans, it is going to be a Syndra ban, so pivoting away from that top lane, going into that mid lane, and now solo laners up for both teams. We'll have to wait and see what they're thinking.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what Sunrush actually ends up locking in, because they do have a lot of potential here with the flexibility they have. And while flexibility in draft is one thing, it's also about your players' abilities to actually play these champions. As Bing Chillers are going to grab that Ornn for the potential blind pick top side. I will say, into a potential Twisted Fate, not a very fun lane. Into a potential Karma, not the most fun lane for Ornn, but he's really good at just sitting back, absorbing that pressure, and scaling into the late game with how tanky he can be and the value that he gives to his teammates. So I like this pick. They're saving that mid lane for last pick just so they can figure out exactly who Sunrush are going to lock into that mid lane. As the flexibility continues, that's an Akshan.
Zooey is familiar on the Akshan pick, and this is kind of the guy that Sunrush have really allowed to, flex some of those more unorthodox picks. Things like the Akshan, like even the Katarina, have been picked by Sunrush, so it's no surprise that they're going to lock this one in here. There's a lot of different lockdown and a lot of different AP damage for Sunrush, so locking in this attack damage superstar in Akshan who wants to go aggressive sort of just makes it harder for this enemy Big Chillers comp to draft against. And for the last pick, Sunrush are actually going to lock in the Gwen here. So that true damage, going to come in clutch against the Ornn later on in this game. I actually really like this pick, but I am getting a little bit worried that this is a little too much AP damage on Sunrush's team.
Yeah, a lot of AP threat. I think Ornn would be kind of crazy to not go with first item Canic Rookern in this game, but that also means that it's a Twisted Fate Karma bottom lane, which is while a pretty scary and poke heavy bottom lane, like you said, it's really magic damage heavy. Terminus is in an insanely good spot right now, as is Wit's End and Jackshow. We were talking about it before the broadcast, just how good Varus can be, especially with those on-hit items, and I think Callista can use them all the same. She's a great lover of Ginsu's Rage Blade in terms of bottom lane itemization, so she wouldn't be it wouldn't be unsurprising for her to grab the Wit's End, the Terminus, and look to just play a little bit more aggressively into all that magic damage that's coming through. And for Sunrush, I'm wondering, while their engage is fairly clear with the Wukong, who's going to tank the engage coming from this Bing Chillers? Because you have Lilia Sleeps, you have Call of the Forge God, you have Nico. Who's actually going to be able to take this in the front line and make sure the back line actually stays alive?
Yeah, I think Sunrush's comp is definitely a little bit less clear on its objective. You have early game, powerhouses, things like the Akshan, who love to go in levels, 1 through 3, take summoner spells like that Ignite. And in this lane, I wouldn't be surprised if Zooey honestly goes that Ignite summoner spell again in this matchup. I think trying to bully Nico out as much as possible before that Pop Blossom comes online, before Nico gets to that 2-item power spike that makes her such a menace in the team fights, is going to be the objective here around this mid lane. And I think that this mid lane is going to be the focus for the most part for Sun Rush, trying to make sure that Zui on this Akshan can scale into that mid to late game, typically around the time where Akshan tends to fall off, and make sure that he can keep on pace with champions like the Gwen, like the Twisted Fate, like the Karma, who love to get around that mid to late game. So I think the focus is going to be around this mid lane for Sun Rush, but around the focus on Big Chillers is definitely through this bot lane and just overall trying to break into team fights, right? This is a team fight comp through and through. I think if they can play around Callista, maybe if Lilia can look for vertical jungling, try to split the map early on, it could cause a lot of difficulties for Sun Rush. Just trying to play and protect this bot lane of Twisted Fate Karma. But for the most part, I would expect Pink Chillers to really index heavily on this bot side. Meanwhile, Sun Rush probably going to play for this mid lane.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. Big Chillers, I really do believe, should be playing around the strength of this bottom lane 2v2. They have the power of Kalista Renata. TF Karma, while having a lot of good poke, while having a decent amount of CC, isn't exactly the best all-in lane that you're going to get. It's no, like, Samira Leona or Tristana Nautilus. They're not going to be able to fight back in the 2v2 as well. And if you make it a 3v2 or even a 4v2 or 4v3, you got to be feeling pretty good about your odds to take those fights. So I really want to see Bing Chillers get aggressive early game on the bottom side before Twisted Fate gets a lot of that gold passive, starts generating all that value. And I want to make sure that I want to see Bing Chillers make sure that this Akshan can't go too crazy with his roams, as that is one of those things that this champion is really well known for. He's a little bit sneaky with the W invisibility. So making sure that this bottom lane stays protected, I think, has to be priority number one for Bing Chillers. And if this Kalista can get ahead, if they can make sure that she has that front line to keep her safe, as Ornn is surely going to be able to do, they should have a decent time scaling into the mid and late game. But Sun Rush definitely has the, what I'm going to call the question mark factor, where I don't really know what a lot of these champions are going to be doing in the early and mid game. So if they can make some surprises happen, and if they can make some questionable decisions, maybe some 50-50 flips that turn out in their favor, I can definitely see them taking home the win.
Yep. And one last little point I want to make before we go on to the break and go on to game number one is the question of how are they going to get this Ornn down in the mid to bot lane when this game eventually breaks out. We talked a lot about how Bang Chillers want to play around this bot side, right? They want to index and really hammer home this Kalista Renata 2v2 lane. And I would expect the Lilia to spend a lot of time in that bot lane. But then there's the Ornn, who really is their only source of tankiness. And when that Karma inevitably starts to get some items, when that Twisted Fate inevitably starts to get some items, you have no protection against the burst of this bot lane. This magic damage is going to be hitting these squishy members of Bang Chillers like a truck, and the only one who can really resist that kind of damage is Ornn, who is most likely going to be stuck in top lane for a really long time unless you have Lilia or maybe even the Nico roam up toward that top side, try to get it out of lane as soon as possible, break that tier 1 tower, and maybe even get some of those grubs. But those are all questions for when the game starts. So I guess if there's nothing else to say, we are going to go to a small, tiny little break while we wait for the teams to load into game number one between Sun Rush and Bing Chillers. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody. We're here pretty quickly, hopping into Game 1 of Sunrush versus Big Chillers. And while these players load onto the Rift and get into their spots for the level 1, I want to give a quick shout out to one of our sponsors tonight, Coachify. HC Sports League of Legends is sponsored by Coachify.gg for our Winter 2024 split. Coachify.gg provides tools for esports coaches to manage their teams and players while also finding new students. You can check out the panel located below the stream to check out their website for more information.
And now we are on to the Rift for game number 1, and both teams, neither of them really looking to do anything quite crazy in the early game. I'm a little bit surprised that Sunrush don't look to push an advantage around these more inner mid lane quadrants. You know, you have things like the Akshan, you have things like the Twisted Fate. These are champions that can really thrive at level 1, just trying to get any sort of damage they can off, get any of those deep wards, because Lilia especially is a champion that likes to full clear. So I think trying to get a deep ward could really help them track this pick, know what lanes it wants to prioritize. And yeah, you can actually see Zooey, I jinxed it, walking up there, so he will get that ward. They will understand and know where Technics on this Lilia started. Just be able to track that pick, know that it's playing for the bot side.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised to see both of these junglers starting on their top side. I think, for the most part, like we said in draft, Gwen is going to bully the Ornn, and that's really how top lane is going to go. Whether the jungle influences that matchup or not, that's just how it's going to be. So again, both these junglers starting on their buffs top side, and already some very early action, as Bo3 is going to take a decent chunk of damage on that TF. I don't know about the trading level 1 versus close to Renata, but hey, they're going for it.
I mean, Bo3 and Rabble, these are two champions on the Karma and the Twisted Fate. They love to go aggressive. They have a lot of damage, and I feel like at one point, Golista and T-Lights are going to underestimate how much damage this 2v2 can do. Sure, you are Renata Kalista. Sure, you have things like the bailout, but I am just waiting for them to walk up, underestimate the damage of this Karma in particular, and hopefully not take a bad trade and just pay respects, because this is a damage dealing bot lane that most people wouldn't expect to be on par with Kalista Renata, who is known to be aggressive.
Yeah, I also want to point out some of the summer spell choices in this bottom side. Like you said, Kalista really needing that cleanse. He's hanging on Super Chase. He's getting ghosted on by Rutledge. He wants the autos down and to take the flash away from the Ornn. Rutledge probably pretty happy with that trade already.
It also makes it much easier for him to just be able to farm and potentially just trade 1-for-1. If Super Chase tries to go in for any of these trades, it is probably going to be a one-way ticket at this point. He doesn't have the ability to simply flash out anymore. And Gwen does have the mobility to follow, right? Has that little dash, so has to be careful at this point in time as Zooey continuing to go aggressive on Dr. Phil and Chill, but honestly, it's just taking sort of the short end of the stick when it comes to these trades. Getting out traded by this Nico as Akshan never feels good.
Technics was spotted on that ward. Hypercarry is here. He's going to finally reveal himself. Technics will know. We got a 3v3 down here in the bottom side. Hypercarry making trouble as Technics wants to get a little bit of damage and a nice handshake from T-Life. They're going to pick up Bo3. First blood goes to Golista. Hypercarry forced to run away. It's a huge win for the Pink Chillers bottom side.
Yeah, beautiful target selection there from Technics in particular, throwing the Swirl Seed out, hitting Bo3, and they realized that this Twisted Fate was completely cut off from the rest of the members of Sunrush. They go immediately for him and lock him down. Burns both sums in the process as well, so now Twisted Fate severely handicapped for these next few minutes, giving Golista and T-Lights, you know, a decent window to try and bully out this Twisted Fate.
Yeah, no ghost, no flash is going to be a really big deal. He does have the fleet footwork to give himself a little bit of sustain. His Super Chase is going to keep getting sniffed up and down here in the top side. Say that one 5 times fast. He's going to be struggling in the lane versus the Gwen. But yeah, Bo3 now with no summoners is going to be a really big loss for him. And I think potentially an angle for Technics to look for a regank. Even with no flash, Golista and T-Lights saved both of their summoner spells. They have a flash handshake from T-Lights that could potentially come down. They have the exhaust to keep that TF in place. And I think it's going to be something that Hypercarry especially is going to have to be on the lookout for as he's now on the top side of the map. This is the time where you kind of have to make the decision of, hey, am I going to try and salvage this bottom lane and I'm going to try and keep this TF safe, or am I just going to say, screw it, I'm going to play for my mid and top side, look to try and get Akshan or Gwen even farther ahead.
a little bit surprised that Technics didn't just opt to go for the top lane gank the moment he reached that area with the Krugs. Rutledge wanted to crash that wave, manages now to crash that wave, go help Hybrid carry out on the Grubs. But if you manage to interrupt that, if you manage to kill the Gwen, who doesn't have Ghost, mind you, I feel like that would have been really effective to try and get a numbers advantage to move on down toward this Grubs. And we have a fight toward the Grubs.
3v2. Technics is looking to press forward a little bit. Doesn't have that level 6 and no lilting lullaby available, but they're gonna manage to zone the members of Sunrush off of these Grubs. Only one went over to Hybrid carry. He's still hanging on to that smite. A little bit, I think, greedy for Technics there to not just smite that one down, but wants to save it for the final Grub. So now it's 1 for 1. And even with the support of Rabble running up there to try and help out, it's still 2 going in favor of Big Chillers. A nice bit of disruption there, like you were saying.
And Rabble, like you said, Brittany, up toward that mid lane, so there is potential for Ordany, who's already very low, to get bullied out even more. This Karma having to walk around the entire thing to support his ADC. You can see on the minimap just how bullied out this Twisted Fate pick is. No summoners available.
Awesome mid lane. Zooey maybe in trouble as Technics is nearby. No mana on the Nico now, but it's going to force the flash out of Zooey. Technics with a nice little bit of eep there. Means that no summoner spell comeuppance should be able to just get blocked out by the minion wave. I don't think Dr. Fell and Chill should be in any concern, but now on the bottom side, handshake lands, but they're not going to look for anything extra. Oh, go Lista instantly with the cleanse. Once they get aggressive, I think maybe just a little bit over aggressive there. But I like the look. They're going to burn the ghost out of Vornity again, but no cleanse is a pretty big deal for the Kalista in this matchup.
And both junglers hovering around this bot lane.
Hello. The shield Rabble is good. They're gonna manage to stay alive for now. This Dr. Phil and Chill, I think he's just gonna pick up Zooey. Mans did not count his minions. That's the Nico passive putting in some work.
And now in the bot lane, we have a potential 3v3 here. Vornity still no flash. This is a really dangerous spot to be in. The the Swirl Seed manages to hit him. I don't think that they can look for this dive though.
Yeah, no level 6 on the Lilia, I think is the really big deal here. No sleep, but also Hyper Carry not having level 6 means the defense would have been a little bit weaker, but Big Chillers just happy to take the small wins on the bottom side, not look to overpress anything. They've gotten Aegis carry with a 16 CS advantage, already has that Vamp Scepter in inventory, not feeling too bad about the spot that he's in. So they're just going to say, hey, TF is going to miss some of this wave. We're feeling pretty happy with that outcome.
And I really want to see Technics maybe look to take this dragon, right? We've seen how much pressure has been put on by this Kalista Renata bot lane, how much priority has been generated from it with Technics being able to take away those Raptors just about a minute ago from Hybrid carry. And I think that this could really translate well into dragon takes, especially when your comp is built around scaling around these team fights. It'll put a lot of pressure on, Sunrush later on in the game to respond to these disadvantageous fights if you're managing to threaten that soul sooner. And I think it all starts with just being able to take these dragons, and you have the priority to do it, so that's really what I want to see Technics do.
Yeah, I think speaking of the dragons, I just want to point out the vision game for Big Chillers on this bottom side. Look at all that red vision across that bottom side river. There is no way that any member of Sunrush is going to be able to walk through here without instantly being spotted out. It's really nice to watch for
super
the roam as Rutledge is actually going to get picked up by the Call of the Forge guy. Technics is just going to delete him with the flash sleep. Now the Hybrid carry looking to sleep him down, trying to get some damage, just fighting the bottom side as well as that hostile takeover. I don't think it's going to find anything. Technics still chasing forward. Flash forward from Super Chase. He's going to find it up, but a Hybrid carry forces the Cyclone out of him. Zooey may be looking for Dr. Phil and Chill here, but I'm not sure this is the fight. We got him. The awesome is going to be here. It's a stun down. Zooey's got the heroic swing out. He's looking to get escape, but Dr. Phil and Chill flashes forward, smites him with that empowered auto attack, and Big Chillers winning across the map.
And it's Sunrush picked off one by one. They were constantly split up from one another, and Big Chillers, I love the aggression that they managed to show. They knew that the enemy team, they knew that the members were outnumbered at certain times, and they went full throttle on the gas, looking for these aggressive plays. And this is supposed to be the time where the top side of Big Killers are weak, right? They are the champions that scale up into the mid to late game, but they're the ones getting advantage after advantage. And it's just putting Sunrush further and further into the dirt as this game continues.
Yeah, well, with the recall timers, it does mean that Sunrush will have priority on these grubs. Technics is over the wall, but with no flash, no lullaby. I'm not sure he actually wants to go in, but he is going to go anyway. Let's go over the wall into a 1 versus 2. The comeuppance is there. I think Technics, you might have overpushed your welcome. He's going to live with a sliver of HP. Rutledge can't get to him. The hell of this will keep him safe from the knockup, but he's going to be forced to walk away now. But potentially fighting the bottom side as well. That Fate's Call is going to be used onto T-Light. We still got this fight up on the top side. Technics on 1 HP. Wants to stay around to try and fight for these grubs. Oh my god, Super Cheese picks that up with the fellow's breath. And it goes 3 for 3 on the grub camps. Nobody gets 4, 5, or 6. How the hell did he pick that one up?
Yeah, major overstep there from Technics. Didn't have the flash, didn't have the ult, and just blast coned into the plant in front of 3. I'm honestly really surprised that nobody died in that exchange. That's incredibly surprising. Big Chillers, they managed to get out, but they don't feel too good about that one. And also in the bot lane, Sunrush striking back. Vornity and Rebel managed to get Goatless and T-Lights a little bit low, push them under their tower for probably the first time this game. So Sunrush, they're behind, but they're still showing aggression and punishing Big Chillers for their over-aggression.
Yeah, I think this is exactly what you were talking about, the disrespect of damage from this Karma and Twisted Fate. I was talking about in draft that they're not as powerful in the 2 versus 2 as the Kalista Renata, but Vornity and Rabble are certainly showing me that they can fight in this 2 versus 2 where they're playing around it pretty well, as Vornity is going to pick up that static shiv. It's not the Kraken Slayer that I usually prefer to see on the AD Twisted Fate. This is the wave clear version. It's going to be a little bit more magic damage, and Rabble is headed towards the Ardent Sensor first, which I actually really like in this particular game. There's so many auto attackers on your side, and while it is more magic damage and your team is already pretty AP heavy, the extra attack speed and extra on-hit damage is never bad.
As Rutledge potentially going in for a fight here, will expend the ultimate but won't get a kill. Taking, and there's a Brooks fight.
Finds it, but Hyper Carry is there with the Cyclone. The Sleep is only land on the 1. The hostile takeover goes absolutely nowhere. Hyper Carry getting really low. Go Lista will find that one with the Rend. Now it's 2 versus 3. Technic still wants to push farther forward, but with no ults, no flashes available, they are just going to have to walk away. Dr. Bill Chill is rotating down here. He's not on vision. He's going to sneak down here as a minion. They did spot him. Rabble trying to get up. Vornity, I think it's just going to try and escape with the ulti, but walking in the wrong direction. I don't think he's going to be able to find his way out. Rooted down. Go Lista will go on a killing spree. Questionable movement there from Vornity, but a nice punish from Big Chillers.
Questionable would be a little bit of an understatement. Vornity had no right going in that bush. The only explanation I can find as to why he went down there was to try and maybe make some time for Zooey on the Akshan, who was roaming down. See if they could fight that when it was a 3v3 and this Akshan arrived to the fight, but he was way too far away for you to be stepping up like that. So huge oversight from Sunrush, and Big Chillers again still have not dropped a death here in this game. Sunrush have not managed to catch them out once. So far, Big Chillers are in complete control of this game, and now it is going to be a Rocket Belt for Dr. Phil and Chill. 3-0 on the Kalista as well, so these carries from Big Chillers incredibly juiced up.
Looking for a bit of invisibility there. I like what he was looking for. This has really been the name of Akshan's game here. Go invisible in the side, try and get some damage off onto Dr. Phil. But yeah, the Rocket Belt is going to make engages so much easier for this Nico. The damage is already completed for Technics, means his damage is going to be insanely high. Super Chase, I don't fully agree with finishing the Hollow Radiance first. I think you would much rather have some different items in your inventory, but hey, he's not behind on the Ornn as we actually forced a flash out there. A bit of over-aggression from him. As we trying to be on the top side as well. The needlework from Rutledge coming through, trying to get some damage down onto Super Chase, but nice sidesteps from the Ornn is going to keep him healthy. Conqueror stacked up, but Super Chase has some potions burning. He's going to feel fine.
Technics has found Zooey out, does have the ultimate available, so Hyper Carry and Zooey have to be careful.
Nice roller for the double bit, lilting lullaby, sleepy Akshan gonna get picked up, eat and deleted. Technics finds his second, now Hyper Carry forced to dash over the wall. The sweeper is gonna spot him out. The Seed finds him as well. They go call the Forge God. Mistimed by Super Chase, but it does not matter. Technics picks him up, goes on a killing spree. And it's just getting farther and farther ahead for Big Chillers. They are owning this map.
Sunrush now, 2 members down. It is a clear green light for Big Chillers to go on up, take this Rift Herald away. Now, my big question is, where do you want to put this Herald? We talked about the importance of getting Super Chase around the map, making sure that this Orange can be unlocked, be this front line for this squad. And I think that that would be a really good move if they want to move this game into the next stage, if they want to sort of force Sunrush into this mid-game when they're completely behind, and now a dive coming in. Rutledge
as the ghost off of no hallowed mist. Goodbye, Gwen. Technics easily picking that one up. The T1 banners fly for Big Chillers. A little bit of BM there, but I think, yeah, with the Gwen down, I wouldn't be shocked if they just pop the Herald right here, but maybe Technics wants to hold on to it. Not sure what he's going to look for it, but that tower felt pretty free. We're past 14 minutes. That would just be a dead tower. They're going to hold on to it. We'll have to see what lane they choose to unlock.
You could make the excuse to maybe put it in this bot lane, try to juice up Goatlista and T-Lights on these bot lane picks who are already incredibly fed. You can see Blade of the Ruin King acquired for the Kalista, but like you said, Brittany, plates are gone. You don't get a lot of value off of damaging the tower. You just get value off of taking it. I feel like value one top lane.
Right, step from that handshake. He'll manage to get away. The hostile takeover goes wide again. The ghost moves Hornady out of it. The Avengers have assembled on this bottom side. Hornady is going to find the stun on the T. Like, oh, this is going to take the comeuppance, though. He'll stay alive just a little bit longer. Finally go down into the takeover. Try and get himself back up, and he does die. And it's lots of kills actually going over to Sunrush. Goatlista trying to kite away. He can't find one of the shields. The heals are too good. Sunrush strike back on the bottom side.
And Big Chillers, they don't target the Akshan. He was 1 HP. Zooey with the hero play. It was looking like another fight that would go Big Chillers' way, but Sunrush, they strike back. They manage to get the kill onto T-Lights. Then they kill Dr. Felonshield, who overextends with his ultimate. Beautiful play, and they get the bot tower for that. So yeah, like you said, Brady, Sunrush, they strike back in this game, and a glimmer of hope begins to make itself known for the blue side.
Maybe he can find a solo kill here. Super Chase trying to sidestep. Has that call the quarter? Gets that last solo down. Doesn't get the damage. No! Rutledge barely finds the solo kill. He does lose his tower in the process, but hashtag worth.
And now the dragon is the next thing coming up, and you can see it is completely focused down by Big Chillers. I don't think Sunrush, sure, they've won the last couple of fights, but I think that they're, you know, biding their time. They realize they don't have a lot of vision in this area. They know they might not be as strong. They don't want to chance it. So yeah, they're just going to give that one up. It's 2 dragons now for Big Chillers. But Sunrush, they've won the fights. They clearly have the ability now to continue snowballing this game in their favor. And when this 3rd dragon pulls up in about 5 minutes here, I would expect Sunrush to really try and contest it with some item spikes that they might be acquiring. You can see Hybrid Carry has that Sundered Sky. Hornady has that rapid fire cannon. The first items are coming in for Sunrush. If they can get themselves to around 2 items for this 3rd dragon, they can absolutely fight it and turn the tide of this game.
Yeah, the gold lead, we didn't talk about it very much, but for the most of this early game, I think for the past 10 plus minutes, has just been in favor of Big Chillers by at least 1,000 in most of these cases. But now at this point, it's even up. It's about 200 in favor as hostile takeover again going to be burned in that mid lane. The Losing Lullaby will find 2. The Cyclone used to cancel out a lot of the damage. In the meantime, top lane fight. Super Chase getting snipped down by that Needlework again. Walks into the true death from the nice sidestep. Or is the Needlework Super Chase is going to win the sliver of HP? But no, Rutledge finds one that dies. And Zooey swings in with the heroic swing. Come up, it's to find 1. He'll find 2. He wants more. He's got 3 sets. Swings around. Wants to find a little bit more damage. Zooey with the triple kill. He'll fall in the tower shots, finding him eventually. As Dr. Felonshield is looking, but won't be able to find anything. But a hero play from Zooey again is going to net him 3.
And Zooey, the hero on the Akshan, he struggled so much in the early game, but somehow is managing to get all of these picks. Now has the Infinity Edge acquired, so that's 2 items on Akshan, less than 20 minutes into the game. We said it was Big Chillers that were going to scale into this game number 1, but it is Sunrush who are continuing to plow through in this mid-game, winning fight after fight, getting objective after objective, and they're the ones with a gold lead, Brittany.
Yeah, about 3,000 in their favor now with those kills and with that mid tower falling. Suddenly, the map feeling a lot better for Sunrush. They've got some vision around the map. They have a better grasp on these neutral objectives. The Baron has spawned. I don't think any team is going to be going for the 20-minute Baron nowadays, but control over the pit means that it won't be traded for any sort of soul point as Technics will finally pop that Herald, but I think that's mostly just the Herald running out on the timer. It's a pretty big loss when you committed so much to that objective in the first place.
Even if this Herald manages to, get to the tower, you can see Vornity and Rebel, they're not going to let that happen. Even if it does get to the tower, though, it's not going to kill it, right? This Herald is basically just free gold into the waiting arms of Sunrush, who are already getting a lot of gold in these past few minutes. And when you have a champion like Twisted Fate, who quite literally prints money for a living, it can be really, really tough giving this pick free objectives like that, because although we haven't talked about the Twisted Fate a lot, with the right amount of gold and with just a little bit of time to scale, this pick can catch up to the remaining members of Sunrush and just be this stun bot and this absolute terror in the game. Yeah, no Herald charge, giving it over to Twisted Fate, and Sunrush continuing to run away with this game, making the comeback that we didn't see, Brick.
Zooey in the wings. He is going to finally be spotted out. The heroes have arrived around with a massive shield. It's just going to keep you safe. Technics is one shot. Absolutely deleted in his own jungle. It's not safe for him to be there anymore.
Huge overstep there from Technics. There was no vision around that surrounding area. All the members of Sunrush were basically gone in the fog of war. You had no idea where a lot of these champions were, and he has a humongous overstep on this Lilia. This cannot be something you're doing when you're sort of walking this game on a knife's edge at this point, because one mistake, as we've seen, can cascade against this Sunrush squad. They got one tiny advantage. They won one fight in this bot lane, and so far that has turned around the entire game. You cannot be making mistakes like this if you're Big Chillers. You have to find another way to try and catch someone out, and that starts with vision. And it feels like Big Chillers, they have a humongous lack of that. There is almost no red wards on this map whatsoever.
Yeah, while we have a moment to breathe here, I do want to say that as Hypercarry is going to get caught with a handshake. He'll be able to walk it off, though. But yeah, while we have a moment to breathe here, I'd love to see what the gold difference is in the bottom lane, as the Twisted Fate buffs were in his passive, especially getting double gold off of those critical strikes when he last hits a minion. So you can already see he's about 1,000 gold over Goatlista, despite only being less than 10 CS ahead and racking up a ton of assists. It's adding up for him. He's got a lot of money off that passive. 606 normally with 98 extra on top of that. Yeesh, that passive is good.
And now the warding from Sunrush is going to reward them with complete control over this Dragon Pit. It is Big Chillers. They have to force themselves into the river, but they're walking into the waiting arms of Sunrush. They cannot be going in here. This is so
Carry flashes in for the cycle. Goatlista has that cleanse, is going to be able to get back out. But Rutledge on the back line with a huge amount of gear. Stock the shield fight for Pop Pop, but it's just too little, too late. It's 3 kills instantly over to Sunrush. Super Chase force a flash away, but I don't think he will be escaping for long. Technics trying to find the damage on the round, but he's got the Mantra W. He's a little too tanky on the Karma. Technics picks up for the ace. Sunrush clean 5 for 0.
Sunrush strike back in game 1. They had a complete overstep in the early game, but they managed to bring it back in this mid to late game. They get themselves their first dragon, and I'm honestly a little bit surprised they're not going for the Baron. Instead, they're opting to go for this mid lane tower, fearing that Big Chillers could try to look for a steal. But yeah, this is Sunrush at their best. They get a comeback. They're literally the definition of if you give them an inch, they take a mile. And that is the story of this game number 1. Sunrush looking unstoppable in this late game.
Yeah, this is such a huge swing. If you had told me 15 minutes ago, 16 minutes ago, that at some point in this game, Sunrush is going to get a clean 5 for 0 ace and will be up 6,000 gold, I don't know if I would have believed you. I think I might have called you crazy, but here we are, 24.5 minutes into the game. 6,500 gold in favor of Sunrush. Up 5 kills. They've got their first dragon. They've got control of the Baron pit. It's very difficult for Big Chillers to try and find their way in now. They're going to start to get the upgrades coming through for Super Chase on this Ornn, but I'm going to be honest, he doesn't even have his own item upgraded yet, and there's not a ton of items across the board that he can upgrade right now. This is a classic case of your team has Ornn, but you haven't built a lot of upgradable items for him.
And now, I think the, next prize for Sunrush is going to inevitably be this Baron, right? Technics has shown on this bot side, so this could be a chance to establish a lot of vision in this area and clear out any vision that Big Chillers have. But they're just going to start up the Baron. They have no fear. Technics, he's crossing the river now, but you can see Zooey on the flank. This could look for a sandwich play.
Oh, Hybrid Carry wants to get the punish on the T-Life. The hostile takeover is nice. He's going to keep it just a little bit longer, but the knockup is there. Rutledge will go unstoppable. Goldista caught down on the bottom side. I'm not sure how that happened with Super Chase now. The target will be picked up. Technics going to be super, super low. Nice bit of damage. Oh, come through for Dr. Kill chilling for Technics. They'll find 2 back, but he might not be longer in this world. No, finds a nice little bit of tangle barbs and gets himself out. It's a decent turnaround for Big Chillers. They managed to salvage 2 out of that play, but still, it's the Sunrush's map, and they're just turning right back around to the Baron.
Yeah, they think they can 3-man this Baron. I mean, they have the Gwen, they have the true damage, they have the damage from the Wukong Q as well. Armor and magic resist do not matter to these champions. They have all the rights to be able to go for this Baron. I love this turnaround. They know the damage of their champions. They know they can go for it. And they are going to get the Baron. I'm a little bit disappointed that they actually didn't wait for the remaining Sunrush members to get this buff, as Rabble and Vornity were about 5 to 6 seconds away from respawning. And there was no real threat of a steal coming around from Big Chillers. But, 3 members getting the Baron, it's better than nothing.
Yeah, it's better than nothing. We are going to finally see the first item upgraded, as Super Chase will give the upgraded Riftmaker over to Technics, give him a little bit of extra stats there, as Technics was looking for a pretty high damage build with the Leandri's Riftmaker, but now he's going to be opting towards the Frozen Heart. He understands that there is a lot of auto attacking happening in this game and doesn't want as much to be happening, so he'll try to lock that one down, as Super Chase might be going for that too, but my man, you gotta pick up an upgrade item for yourself at some point. It's so important for Ornn to get these item upgrades. It's so much free stats for him if he just grabs an item that he can upgrade and give to himself. As Hornady may be in trouble. And the ult get Wilting Lullaby. Hybrid Carry wants to get the counter engage, and T-Lights is gonna throw the hostile takeover just on the Hybrid Carry to try and peel for Goldista. Hybrid Carry so tanky on this Wukong. This character still keeping alive for so damn long. Finally, Goldista will shut him down. The Sun and Sky healing just not enough. It's 1-for-0, but somehow I feel like this is still in favor of Sunrush.
It absolutely is still in favor of Sunrush. You can see Zooey on that bot side. He managed to get the tower. All of the lanes are being pushed in for Big Chillers. The pressure is still on despite it being a 4v5. Yeah, they also have both TP, so if anything big comes up, they can just TP to the fight. Yep, ult popped by Super Chase.
Looking to go in. Oh, that Blood Song. Damage is coming through. T-Lights with that auto attack coming in. Goldista gonna find that one. Rabble forced to flash away. Hornady flashing in. Goldista finds him. The damage comes through. Shutdown for Dr. Phil. And Big Chillers managed to get a decent punish out of that. Zooey looking for something, but I think it's just gonna be forced to walk away.
And now the Baron is spawning. This was a perfect time for Big Chillers to look for a fight. They managed to get picks. They managed to take down Vornity. They managed to take down Rutledge. They can look to get this Baron, look to get a soul point. Maybe salvage this late game. Zooey's caught.
Has to flash away. Super Chase doesn't manage to find that last auto attack with the Brittle, but now with respawns coming through, Hybrid Carry is here. Rutledge is up in 10 and does have that teleport. Zooey has his own teleport if they want to try and play for a contest here. It doesn't look like they're going to go for it, so will just be a free soul point going over to Big Chillers. They found themselves an Rejector Bounty and are going to start to claw their way back to relevance in this game. They're not out of it just yet.
Yeah, Sunrush, they managed to find themselves a way to the late game. They just have to wait about 5 minutes, not make any egregious mistakes, and they can look to get this soul through a fight or through a pick. Honestly, Sunrush, a little bit of an overstep there. They had 2 TPs available for Rutledge and Zooey, and surprisingly, they didn't use them. It felt like there was multiple opportunities for one or more of the solo laners to join that mid fight when the Lullaby came in from Technics, but they just didn't do it. They opted instead to put pressure on the side lane, and they were at a numbers at disadvantage. Ultimately, that is what cost them the dragon. So I really want to see them be more proactive with this 1-3-1 split that they're looking to do, really making use of those teleports, because it feels like that is what could have saved them from Big Chillers getting Soul and now putting them on a timer in this late game.
Yeah, they have 4 minutes to figure out what their plan is for the next fight, or to look to even potentially end the game if they manage to find that Baron spawning in 2 minutes, or if they find just a couple of key picks. We're 30 minutes into the game. The death timers are going to be fairly long. If a fight goes badly for Big Chillers, they could just lose it off of that. But for now, it's just a lot of posturing, trying to get these waves in the proper position. You can see Rutledge pushing down as Hornady in trouble to make the QSS. The QSS on himself, but Dr. Bill and Chill once again in there finds the 2-man pop loss, and they'll take down Hornady. Rutledge is on the side though. Gold Listo already put into the respawn, but can't find it. So he goes on a killing spree. Hyper Gary trying to get some damage down onto the back line. Dr. Bill and Chill is going to break that arm guard and keep himself safe for just a little bit longer. He'll manage to get away. Super Chase trying to get some damage onto the Zooey on this back line, but my friend, you are 1 versus 3, and I do not think this ore is long for this world. Rutledge will find it, and what looked like a decent start for Big Chillers ends up being a huge win for Sunrush.
I mean, they managed to catch out Vornity, right? They managed to expend the Mikhails, and then out of nowhere, Dr. Phil and Chill manages to get a huge pop blossom. Like you said, Brittany, it felt like the fight was going their way, but just the raw stats of Sunrush managed to turn the fight. Now it's a 3 against 4. Vornity does have the Destiny available, so can join the fight if he wants.
Yeah, that inhibitor will go down. It's just going to be Sunrush kind of forced out, kind of just leaving on their own terms of the Big Chillers base, and they're going to extend their gold lead to just around 8,500 now. They are feeling so strong currently. It's honestly kind of a miracle that Big Chillers were able to find that dragon when they did. I think the next fight is going to be even harder, especially with that QSS being back up and off cooldown, which means no lilting Lullaby should be able to come through onto this Twisted Fate. He's not really a viable peg target anymore. They have to look for someone else, and on this team, unless you can find the auction, maybe if you can pick out Rabble before the fight starts, you can look for something, but for the most part, you really want your damage down on that Twisted Fate, and now he's a much less viable target.
And there's so much to say on the other members of Sunrush as well, right? You can see Zooey, he has the Terminus available, giving him some of those more defensive stats. Karma has both Ardent Sensor and the other item that I'm blanking on. Brittany, help me out here, the support. Moonstone, as well as them just beating Karma. So there are not a lot of easy targets here. We'll see that, right?
Maybe Call, the Pace Call is going to keep it safe, but Hyper Carry's in the backline. With that Cyclone, the hostile takeover is going to do a lot of work. That Cyclone finds 5 members. Hyper Carry doing the damage for his team. He's living up to his name. Rutledge finds Goatless. The Technics will go down inside the bailout. There's no kills to be found. Vornity wants to find another kill out of Dr. Village. Chill is going to teleport in with that Destiny. The comeuppance from Zooey does huge damage. It's another clean ace for Sunrush. Last one was a Baron. This time it's the game.
Sunrush, they had a struggling early game, but they managed to, off of one tiny fight that netted them a couple of kills, they managed to turn the whole game around. They will take us to game number 2 with a lead. They will ride the momentum into game number 2. They are one step closer to securing that first place in their division and making their playoffs run all the more easier.
Yeah, I've got to say, that's not the result I was expecting for game 1 for certain. I really thought with the early lead that they had, Big Chillers, it felt like they had a better scaling composition. It looks like they were going to be able to just ride their momentum into the mid and late game if they didn't make any huge mistakes, if they just played a little bit safer, if they, I think, honestly built a little bit better. I'm a little concerned about the lack of Ornn items when you have an Ornn on your team, but anyway. It was really Sunrush capitalizing on the mistakes of Big Chillers and playing aggressively into them. They looked damn good while they did it, and you can see Rutledge happy to just be beaten up on the Ornn through the laning phase. That is Gwen damage for sure.
And there is a reason why Rutledge is hailed as one of the best top laners, right? In this sort of plat, emerald, diamond tier, right? He's been around for such a long time, but it is because of performances like these. The consistency of this player really places him at the top. And the fact that he's been doing it for so long, for years, really speaks to his consistency and just his ability to pull out several different picks like the Gwen and be sort of this weak side king that every top laner loves and wants to strive to be. So yeah, masterclass there from Rutledge on the Gwen. Masterclass in mid game and late game from the entire squad of Sunrush at that. And it's going to be up to Big Chillers to not only, sort of repeat their same success in the early game, which was by far their brightest spot in this game number 1, but also carry that momentum further. Don't give Sunrush so many opportunities. Respect the item power spikes that Sunrush managed to really force on Big Chillers, and just pay a little bit more respect to Sunrush, because I ultimately think that is what it was what Big Chillers didn't do, and it's what led to their downfall in game number 1. They didn't respect the items that Sunrush built, and they didn't respect the power spikes of the champions.
Yeah, like you said during the game, if you give Sunrush an inch, they will take a mile. We've seen it throughout this regular season, and they are proving it again versus their biggest competition in their division. We're going to take a short break while we hop into draft for game 2 of Sunrush versus Big Chillers Emerald. Will Big Chillers be able to strike back, or are Sunrush going to clean it up in a quick 2-0? Don't go anywhere. All that happens after the break. We are back. We're jumping straight into the draft for game 2 of Bing Chiller's Emblem versus Sunrush. Bing Chillers are going to be taking to the blue side. We've already blown through the first part of pick and ban. The bans are already done, and the first pick for Bing Chillers immediately locking in that setup.
Yep, Senna. Not surprised to see this pick. I would honestly not be surprised if Bing Chillers, they understood that the bot lane of Sunrush was heavily focused in that bot lane as well. So maybe try to dial it back, try to play a little bit safer. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we see something like a Seraphine paired along with this Senna. Meanwhile, Sunrush, they're saying, okay, you aren't taking Kalista Renata this game. We'll take that instead. Kalista locked in. Wouldn't be surprised if the Renata is going to join that pick as well, or something like a Blitzcrank, maybe an Alistar as well. Something that can make use of that Kalista ult, like I said last game, and also be there and present in the early game. And Nautilus is instead going to be the pick. So ton of pick potential, ton of team fight potential. This is exactly what Kalista likes in the laning phase.
I also really like this pick for Sunrush because it denies the Senna Nautilus combo for Bing Chillers. If you've been watching professional, Senna Nautilus is a crazy strong 2v2. Senna, not as weak in the early game as you would really anticipate, so she can make the aggression and the early damage from that Nautilus work for her. It's going to force Bing Chillers back onto a different pick. I don't know how I feel about the Braum personally. I would love something like a Tom Kench, like the Seraphine you mentioned. I don't think would be bad, but they're going to opt for the Braum and try and just disengage a lot from this Kalista Nautilus. I'm just not so sure how successful it will be.
I also think that this opens up a doorway for Big Chillers to maybe go for a more carry-oriented jungler, have a champion that can really work well with this Braum, proc as many of those passives as possible. So I'm thinking maybe something like a Belveth could be possible. I think Kindred is also really good with Braum. I think that these are two options that could really work well with the Braum pick and also give a lot of carry potential and even some scaling to Big Chillers' comp. But instead, they're actually just not going to go for the jungler at all. They're locking in the top laner for Super Chase. Huh. Interesting pick.
I'm really surprised to see them lock in top lane this early. It's going to give the counter pick to Rutledge again, unless they want to opt for a jungler that they would prefer on this third pick. But if they do, it means that Big Chillers will be able to have two of those bans to give that Gnar a bit more safety. I'm going to be real. This Gnar pick is really perplexing to me. I'm surprised that they're blind picking into Rutledge again, just given what we know about him as a player and how much he loves counter pick.
And even more interestingly, as Sunrush, they are not actually going to give Rutledge the counter pick right away. Instead, they're opting to just give Rabble his Vi. Now I feel like this is a little bit of an oversight from Sunrush, as it gives Bing Chillers plenty of time to ban away potential counter picks to this Gnar or familiar champions for Rutledge to be able to bully this champion as well, maybe stop it from being as useful in team fights or just stunt its growth in the laning phase. So this feels like an oversight from both teams. As you can see Big Chillers just banning away top laners. I would expect that second ban to also be a top laner. Meanwhile, Sunrush, they're banning away the Nico, and they're also going to ban away the Brand. So a lot of magic damage threats taken away from Big Chillers, as they don't have any picked, but they have to be thinking about that in the back of their mind.
Yeah, AP has to be on the line for Big Chillers. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw an Alawi ban, despite Gnar having a pretty good matchup versus it. It's a pick that Rutledge does really like to pull out when he can, and I think it would work fairly well for Sunrush. They are going to just pick away the Malphite, instead make sure that that one isn't more easy free engage for Sunrush, but at the same time, they already have Vi Nautilus. They can really look for a carry in the top side or even a carry mid laner, depending on what they want to go for. Their draft is essentially wide open.
There are a lot of different options for Sunrush, that is for sure, Brady, as now both solo lanes are open for Sunrush. I would imagine they're going to give mid lane the pick this time. Actually, probably top lane the pick. Yeah, Udyr just going to be slammed here, making sure that Zui gets the counter pick because Gnar has already been locked in. Udyr, if nothing else, is going to simply be able to survive the lane phase, right? Maybe not going to bully the Gnar, but is going to provide a lot of priority for this Vi pick to make some of those deeper ward vision plays. Maybe look to bully out the jungler of BCS, who I would imagine is going to be the next pick up here, if not B5. They have to try and give up this jungle.
Whoa.
And it's going to be the Ivern?
Okay, that's
wow.
Ivern for Bing Chillers. You were talking about the potential of getting Technics on a carry jungler, trying to get them on the map a little bit more, but they're going to be trying to play around this Senna in the bottom side. That Ivern is telling me maybe they want to look for a carry mid laner as well. Maybe something like a Tristana, which is still fully available, or even something crazy like a Yone or a Yasuo, someone that can take advantage of those Ivern shields.
I think Yone's good.
They're making us wait for it. We're ticking down. I wouldn't mind Tristana. I wouldn't mind Yone. They're going to just lock in this injury instead. I'm a little surprised to see that with the Ivern, but I don't hate it. This is a pretty good draft for Bing Chillers.
This is a good 2v2 from Bing Chillers early on in the game. Ivern is one of the best 2v2 champions in the game, primarily because he actually doesn't make it a 2v2. When Daisy gets onto the Rift, it's a 3v2. Daisy's essentially just as strong as a champion at this point. Daisy is Manny Pacquiao, but just in disguise. Sunrush, though, they are going to lock in their last pick. They're going to give Zui the Ahri. So classic mid lane mage matchup here for both teams. But I feel like there is just a lack of upfront damage here for Bing Chillers. Sure, you have a lot of engage. Sure, you have the scaling in Syndra and Senna, but you are really weak in this early game. And I feel like it's just going to be up to Bing Chillers to survive this laning phase. And even then, I worry about the damage profile of this team.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the Sunrush draft, it's kind of the same thing that I was saying about Bing Chillers in game one, where they have really consistent damage. They scale fairly well. You have Udyr and Ahri in the mid and late game who are going to be really strong. Kalista, who can provide a lot of early game presence in the bottom side. It's a damn good looking draft for Sunrush, and I think Bing Chillers, like you said, are going to have to try and survive the early game, but Vi Ahri, a damn good 2v2 in the mid and jungle. Kalista Nautilus, one of the stronger 2v2s in the bottom side, and Udyr. Now, I haven't been playing a lot of Summoner's Rift Udyr, but in ARAM, that champion is crazy, so to me at least, Udyr is a really, really strong top laner.
I mean, Udyr...
I think it's going to be a pretty good draft here for Sunrush. I like everything that they've gotten for themselves. They have consistent engage. They have a decent amount of disengage if they want. They have good 2v2s across the map. And like you said, Bing Chillers, they have decent engage. They've got not bad disengage. They can look for fights, but do they have the damage to follow it up when they get those fights?
I also really like the pick of Vi here from Sunrush. Vi is a champion that doesn't have to full clear, doesn't need a ton of resources in order to get the job done. So I wouldn't be surprised if Vi maybe tries to go for something like a 3 camp, maybe a 4 camp, and then look for a dive in the bot lane, really play around this Kalista Nautilus, similar to what we saw last game from Bing Chillers. And I think it's really going to be up to Technics to cover this bot lane, make sure that this Senna and this Braum don't get bullied out all around this early game. But that can be difficult, right? You also want to play for the Syndra. It feels like Technics almost has too many areas to cover, and he might be stretched too thin, and that could be something that I think Sunrush could exploit, just kind of getting that deep vision, knowing where Ivern is at all times, and just going where he isn't, and just constantly putting lanes at a disadvantage with numbers.
Yeah, it's something they did pretty well in game one, too. The early ward coverage on the Raptor pit to make sure they could track Technics was really good. So if they get that coverage again, if they can track the Ivern, there's a decent chance that they find success once again and clean it up to 0. But Bing Chillers, they're not out of it just because we like the Sunrush draft a little bit more. I mean, in game one, we liked the Bing Chillers draft a lot more, and we saw how that turned out. We're going to take a short break here to get onto the Rift for game number 2. We'll see if Sunrush can clean it up and sweep this series 2-0, or if Bing Chillers can fight back. Before I send you off, I've got one last ad read for the night. It's Pro Comps. A quick shout out to them, our sponsor, and a game changer app for the league community. This isn't just like other tools. It's your personal draft coach, perfect for both teams and solo players, as I eat a little bit of my hair. In fact, you can pair with any other app that you use. Pro Comps will stand out with features like custom champion pools, personalized tier lists, and live draft advice. You can think of it like having a virtual coach and a strategy toolkit all wrapped up into one. They offer real-time champ and ban recommendations, and they already have over 200,000 downloads with thousands of daily users just like you. ProComps is user-friendly and is totally free. It's a no-brainer to at least give it a go. Download ProComps now, and you'll experience a whole new level of drafting power in your league games. You can go to procomps.gg, download it from Overwolf, or click the panel below the stream to get there. Again, we're going to take a short break while we load up onto the Rift for Game 2 of Sunrush versus Bing Chillers Emerald. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We are back here for game 2 of Big Chillers Emerald versus Sun Rush. As we can see, Rebel already dying. Please report support FF20 GG no re. I'm kidding. That's just the Callisto Spear. But we're here. Potentially Sun Rush looking to clean sweep it in what might be one of our fastest on-stream series ever if they can win in the same fashion as they did game 1. But if Big Chillers can swing back, game 3 could look very spicy.
And already spicy it is indeed as Technics manages to get some damage onto Hybrid Carry. A little bit of scuffling in the level 1, but no champion going to die just yet. It is only 2 members, and all of them only have 1 ability. But yeah, Technics managing to get a Vision Ward onto Hybrid Carry's red buff, so they will know where this Vi started. And that is incredibly important, right? We talked about this Vi in the draft, how versatile the pathing can be from this champion, and just being able to go for things like 3 camp clears into bot ganks. Just as soon as you get that Q, you are able to basically be unlocked around the map. But Hybrid Carry, he knows what's up. He knows there's a ward there. He's just going to clear it.
Yep, they are just going to take that one down. I don't know if Zooey got any experience for that. If you split it between 2, Rutledge could have looked for an early level 2 push, but if you split it between 3, it comes at the same time for the solo laner, so potentially no advantage. Give it over depending on whether Zooey got that XP or not. But yeah, for the early game, Vi is going to start on red. They still do know that Vi is starting on red, but they're not going to have much more over. Not going to have much more information other than that, as Hornady is just going to give over a free soul to Goatlista. Not sure what he wants on that one. Is surprising aggression from the bottom side in this early game, but so far no kills just yet. It's only 2 minutes in, but you know, the aggression started real early last game.
And I expect this game, you know, in every other lane except bot lane to be rather slow paced, right? Gnar versus Udyr is pretty slow, and already we gotta find the bot lane.
Well, Goatlista getting pretty low. The sun's gonna come through on to Rabble. Goatlista getting really, really low. I don't think he wants to walk up there. Has to flash away to not be in Ren range from Vornity. The damage is good for Callista Nautilus. This is the kind of damage we were talking about that you cannot disrespect in the early game.
Now, wave crashing in the bot turret, it is going to be gradually pushing up toward Sun Rush, so that is not a position you want to be in as Big Chillers' bot lane. Not having the flash onto this Senna leaves you vulnerable to more of those dredge lines that Rabble can continue to chuck out, and it also leaves you vulnerable to ganks, right? We can see Hybrid Carry, he's making his way down toward the bot side. He's probably just going to opt to go for that full clear based on the wave states. But yeah, Goatlista and T-Lights, they have to be careful pushing up this wave. They have to make sure that Technics is in the area, because at any point there could be just unhinged aggression coming from the bot lane of Sun Rush.
Yeah, and I think while we were discussing the bottom side ganking and the bottom side fight that was happening over there, Rutledge got a very early ward onto the blue buff of Technics. You can see it up there on the minimap. I think it spotted him retaking those camps after he had marked it, so that is more information for the Sun Rush side about where this iron could potentially be, as looking for the Scuttle Crab. He's going to be able to grab that one, get a little bit of damage down onto Zooey. Zooey's actually getting very, very low. The Charm is going to mean that the Vault Breaker will connect. Hybrid Carry now getting Technics very low. Stun traded back. Technics will be able to walk that one out, as there's a fight in the bottom side as well. Goatlista and T-Lights managing to trade back and looking okay while doing so. Health Force trading between mid and jungle though, but Technics I think is going to be happier on that trade.
But look at both of the junglers, right? We talked about this, the wave pushing back up, and now Hybrid Carry, he's caught on the wrong side of the map. He will be spotted out, but yeah, they don't want to commit to that. Technics still really low on this Ivern. I love the, you know, sort of holding of aggression here by Big Chillers. The restraint that they showed. They could have looked for Hybrid Carry, but they just don't want to pick a fight. They don't want to risk this bot lane moving up.
Goatlista has the shields on. He's very, very healthy. Vornity is going to flash and heal to get away. The Night Tech now, but it will not kill. Over aggression from the Callista side. They knew Technics was down here. I think they just expected that he was too low and wanted to get that recall off.
Now, Big Chillers, they're just going to push this wave. Basically all resets coming in from the bot lane, and now the grubs are spawning. Really going to be interesting to see if T-Lights decides to roam up toward these grubs, if he goes with Technics to maybe look for this objective. But they're actually going to have to take one more wave. Rabble managing to hold the line on this Nautilus. Yeah.
That's MVP support player right there. So maybe looks for a hook in that is not, maybe not the best, but, you know, he's playing versus Senna. The damage this early is not going to be that high. Rebel's actually happy to just hold that one up, and with all the attention on the bottom side, Rutledge again gets another ward onto that blue buff, which means that again, it's more damage onto Rutledge, actually, as he's getting very, very low. Super Chase might just have a solo kill here. Rutledge has the ghost, but is not even going to bother to pop it. Pops it so late. Never mind. Super Chase finds the solo kill, first blood off of his level 6.
It is Super Chase with the first kill of the game. Definitely not the champion I was expecting to get first blood. But yeah, a major over-aggressive play there from Rutledge. He wanted to push the wave, and Super Chase wasn't letting him, so it led to a brawl. And ultimately, Super Chase with that W, managing to get the better of him as we gotta fight the mid.
Nice flash away from Dr. Felon Shield. Not going to get caught by that charm from Azui, but a flash for an ulti. If you're playing Ard, you're pretty happy with that one. The unfortunate part about that top lane exchange is in my mind, I was just like, oh, Rutledge is playing this so well. He's even in CS. He's not going down so much. He's getting wards down in the enemy jungle. He's playing this really well. And then the solo kill comes through where he pops his ghost so late. Oh, it hurts. I feel like a cast a curse in him just in my mind.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you watch those shows and the main character, or your favorite character rather, you know, he's a favorite character, he's super charismatic, he can like take on a whole army of bad guys, he just randomly dies in one episode and you are left feeling really disappointed, and now you have to find a different main character. That's Game of Thrones in a nutshell if you haven't watched it.
In the meantime, Rutledge is actually going to even out that CS disparity again up there in the top side. Collects a pretty big wave, only down 2 CS in the range versus melee matchup. You got to be feeling pretty happy with that one if you are Rutledge, despite, you know, the flub from the solo kill. Super Chase is opting for the Mercury Tread's first item, which I don't hate, actually. The extra magic resist and tenacity is really, really good versus the Udyr, versus the Nautilus, even versus the Ahri. It will be very useful as he goes on. As Rabble is going to wide with that Hullbreaker. Gonna get stunned down. Hypercarry still unspotted for now. Has that Hullbreaker charged up. Is not gonna look for the all-in. The health bar's just a little bit too low as Warnaby actually takes another Winter's Bite from T-Lights. He's landing these Qs with some decent precision. And the trades are suddenly starting to be a little bit in favor of the Senna Braum. Is Kalista just overrated as Gnar into the wall? Rutledge getting a little low. He's got the sustain from his W, so he should be fine to just walk away, but and this bottom lane is looking more and more rough every time we walk into it. Vornity's on 1 HP. Vornity goes to hook away. He's gonna get stunned under his tower. Okay, maybe we just highly are overrating Kalista. Maybe she's just actually turbo weak and is unplayable in lane. I don't know.
I feel like that is the opposite. I always felt like Kalista was incredibly strong in the early game, but I feel like it is just a case of lethality on Goatlista really being effective in this game.
Oh, Sonic Shadow! Goatlista! Picks up the snipe onto Vornity and finds a Raffle as well. This is a massive wave to lose. This is a disaster for the Sunrise bottom side.
And it also evens out the CS difference that has been with Bing Chillers' bot lane the entire game. Suddenly, you have a gold bounty on Senna 2-0, who's going to even out the CS difference. And now all of a sudden, the bot lane went in favor of Sunrush, and Bing Chillers just grab that and they take it by the throat. Now they're in control of this bot side. Such a big 2v2 win for Goatlista and T-Lights. Amazing synergy and just amazing poke overall. Every single skill shot was landing for those past couple of minutes.
Yeah, and normally the big thing with Senna in the bottom side, especially as an AD carry, is like, okay, you have a lot less lane pressure. You're gonna look to like sustain it through some trades as Hypercarry and Rabble are taking this move up. Technics will spot it out. Doesn't have to smite, just getting a gift literally on cooldown. I know he was spamming that key. I don't know why Hypercarry didn't just smite that at 900. He had the upgraded smite. It was available for him. But with no smite now available for Technics, it does mean that the Grubs should just go over 3-0. That should be all 6 for the side of Sunrush. But yeah, the whole point of Senna in the bottom lane is like, yeah, you're gonna go behind a little bit early. You're gonna manage to even out his hang on. T-Lights wants to flash forward, gonna force the flash out of Vornity with the Glacial Fissure. Just aggression again and again. I didn't expect to see the Senna Braum being the ones to fight so aggressively, but hey, here we are.
I feel like part of the reason why this Bing Chiller's bot lane is getting away with so much is, hey, hold that thought.
And this is the charm gonna land from Zooey. The damage is coming through. They should just have enough to finish this one off. Hybrid carry will find their first of the game, and it's a nice knockback. Hornady, maybe in trouble now, is going to get stunned up. Golista is going to get that on hit. The flash forward from Technics for the root. They are bullying the Calista. Do they have the damage to finish her, though? The man is not there. Hornady survives. It's a disaster for the Big Chiller's bottom lane.
Vornity manages to get out. Amazing sort of fancy feat from this Calista. I mean, after all, that is what she is known for, right? With the passive, but at the expense of 2 summoner spells. So Bing Chiller's probably making a mental note of how vulnerable this Calista now is without that crucial flash or heal up. What is to stop them from just going to bot lane again and making sure that they can keep this Calista down and behind? So, you know, Hybrid Carry and Rabble, they need to start making sure that this Calista can be played around. They have left this bot lane for the past few minutes, and if they keep doing that same thing, Bing Chillers, they're just gonna keep making Vornity's life a living hell.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real. I was really worried for the mental game for Bing Chillers throughout the series after that game 1 for what felt like such a clean early game for them to have thrown away such a really big lead. Just lose control of the game in such a what I would call a very taxing way, where it was a slow and continuous loss. As might have to put that on hold, as Hybrid Carry is down here on the bottom side. Hook does not land from Rabble, so they will be able to walk away. But yeah, I was worried about Bing Chiller's mental. I thought for sure, like, coming into this game, maybe they're a little down on themselves. Maybe they're not willing to make those aggressive plays. They feel like, oh man, we're just gonna get hands dipped. But Bing Chiller's showing up big in this game, about 1,500 gold in their favor, and they're looking to keep the pressure up and look for this dragon.
Yup, Daisy has been spawned, bushes being placed, vision being denied from Sunrush, but they're looking to go for the fight.
Nice 2-man stun from Dr. Phil and Chill. Hybrid Carry is deleted. Rabble finds a nice knock-up off that face call, but the Dawning Shadow is going to do a little bit too much damage. Force the flash out of him. The Ignite is ticking down, but Dr. Phil and Chill finds his second. A bit of a questionable contest there for Sunrush. All of that for just a Cloud Dragon, and they don't even manage to pick up a kill for it.
Sunrush completely split in that fight as well. They didn't have the positioning to look for a fight like that, and it was Dr. Phil and Chill with an amazing scatter the weak on the Hybrid Carry. They managed to lock the Vi down, who really isn't tanky at this point. This Vi doesn't have any tank items available. It's still very squishy on this pick.
Dewey doesn't manage to find that charm. Dr. Phil and Chill has the shields from Technics as well. Just so happened to be passing through the area with his Moonstone. So Dr. Phil and Chill will just take the ulti from Zooey and say thank you very much. Be able to shove out that wave and get it back. But in the meantime, Hybrid Carry up here on the top side, maybe looking to punish Super Chase, but the Gnar, he's Gnar. Difficult to gank, I think, would be the word I would use to describe for him.
I mean, Herald is going to be up in about 45 seconds here, and I think that it is nice that both junglers are on this top side, right? Just looking to get that kill, looking to get that priority so they can take this next objective. Yeah, you can see Technics in the bush here as Golista with one auto attack manages to take a decent chunk of Vornity's health away. That is the power of lethality, my friends, but I don't like the Youmuu's Ghost Blade. I'll say that much. I think that this item is omega overrated after the nerfs.
Yeah, Youmuu's is, if you feel like you really need the movement speed, I guess it's all right. But I think for the most part, you'd be much better off with something like Umbral or maybe even Opportunity, as Rabble's going to actually get pretty low. I was worried about Golista stepping down under tower there, but he's feeling okay as Super Chase will go into Mega and dissuade Hybrid Carry from walking into that gank. I'm wondering if at some point soon we can get a soul check-in for Golista. We're at 14 minutes into the game. It is farming Senna, so I wouldn't expect it to be super high as Zooey is looking for an engage on the middle lane. Dr. Phil and Chill uses that unleashed power. Hybrid Carry is here. Has this immediate flash away from Dr. Phil and Chill, but Technics comes in with the shield. He flashes forward to keep his... He doesn't flash forward. Dr. Phil and Chill flashes away. Technics keeps his mid laner safe and healthy. This is the power of the Ivern. We were questioning it in the draft. We thought maybe Technics would want a carry jungler for himself, but he's making this Ivern look like a carry in his own right.
Absolutely. Technics has been all over the map. It's sort of the unsung hero here for Sun Raj. Oh my god,
He's just dead! Glacial Fissure under tower, goodbye! T-Light splashes away to make sure that nothing gets traded back. Heal burn from the Kalista, but nothing doing for the bottom lane of Big Chillers, and they'll grab the Rift Herald as well. They felt like they had the advantage in the early game, and they realized that they gave it away, and this time they are not letting their foot off the gas.
Absolutely, they are coming out to swinging it here in game number 2. Nothing spells good play, like a little bit of desperation. And Big Chillers, they want this series. They want that first place mark in their group, and they're willing to fight for it. And this game number 2 is a good indication of the fight that Big Chillers have in them.
Yeah, it's not over yet. We saw the Big Chillers with a lead of 0 kills to 8. Somehow managed to get turned around on, so I'm not going to count the Sunrush out of it just yet. They are still fighting for the series, but Big Chillers, it feels a lot cleaner this early game. Despite the kill being given over, despite Dr. Phil and Chill dying in that mid lane one time, it does feel like they are playing this early game a lot safer, a lot cleaner. They're playing to their strengths a lot better, and I would even argue that their scaling is a little bit better this time around as well. They have the Senna, they have the Syndra, they have the Gnar, who are all mid to late game threats in their own right.
Not only that, but they also have the Ivern, right? You can never talk about scaling and not mention Ivern as a champion. A lot of people, they don't really appreciate Ivern's scaling because he's a support.
Maybe in trouble, but has that double W, he's going to manage to keep himself sustained for just a little bit longer. Immediately the Gnar into a wall. Big stuns, big damage, super chase will find his second kill of the game.
And now they're probably just going to be able to go for this turret. Meanwhile, Hybrid Carry looking for a play on this mid lane.
Warner D getting very low. The Dawning Shadow takes down 1 HP. One last auto. Go! Lista will fight it. In the meantime, on the bottom side, Zooey got caught in a 1 versus 1. Dr. Phil Chill goes on a killing spree. The Glacial Fissure is great from T-Light. He's going to pay for his support. The depth charge from Nautilus used just to keep Hybrid Carry alive. The Ignite did not manage to find that kill. And in the 2 versus 3, Big Chillers Emerald bottom side. Feeling confident.
Beautiful peeling there from T-Light. He takes the Q. He makes it so difficult for Hybrid Carry to get on top of Goatlista, and the result is Goatlista survives. T-Light's efforts, they manage to pay off. They get a tower, and Big Chillers, they were saying the late game of game number 1 was a fluke. They're coming out in full force here in this second game, just all over the map. It is domination from this blue squad.
Yeah, domination is right, but I want to see them continue this as Hornady is going to get a little trading into Super Chase. Despite being 3 levels down, still confident to step up onto the Kalista. I do want to see this game continue for Big Chillers. I want them to show us that they can continue to be clean in the mid and late game. Technics still holding on to that Herald. We didn't see it go out to much use into the last game. I want to see them grab a tower or 2 with it. I want to see them make a play for the map as they pick up their second dragon. They will manage to grab that, as it looks like the top lane turret is going to be traded in its stead. I would love to see them just pop Herald mid here and just start forcing it down. They have that advantage. They're going to pop it in mid lane. Yeah, this is going to be at least a mid lane tower down, if not 2. That's on Super Chase. Maybe in trouble. He has that hyper movement speed, though. There's just no engage available for Hybrid Carry.
Stalling the members.
Yeah, Super Chase is just walking forward. He's doing a great job of stopping some of these recalls. The Herald will die, so we manages to find that, but the damage coming through onto that tower just means that it's a 1-for-1 trade, but outer tower for inner, you're having to take that if you grab the inner tower.
Absolutely, and if a fight is to devolve, I mean, you can see Hybrid Carry's positioning here. Maybe he's looking for a pick. Super Chase does have access to that TP, so the 5v5 potential from Big Chillers is there, and now I think it is just going to be up to them to try and force a fight. You can see a majority of the members are resetting. Senna most likely going to pick up that second item. Collector, yeah, acquired here for Goatlista. So this carry in Senna is so well protected. I feel like Big Chillers should just go for a fight, look to take down Zooey, who really at this point is the only big threat in terms of damage, and just potentially look for Baron on spawn.
Yeah, I think my only worry for looking to get on top of Zui is how do you lock down this Ari? There is no real point-and-click crowd control for this Bing Chiller side, as Senna is just going to crest over that 60 soul mark at 20 minutes. Not great soul stacking in general, but with how far ahead she is already sitting on 2 items, you're not too pressed about the amount of souls that you've gotten. It's kind of the disadvantage of the farming Senna. You get more money, you get less souls. It's the trade-off you make, but yeah, how does Bing Chillers truly lock down Zui on this Ari? If she really is the threat that they have to worry about, what can they do to actually get to her? If Dr. Phil and Chill can't land that Scatter the Weak, if there isn't a super engage from Super Chase, or if Technic can't find a route, like, how do you really get on top of this Ari?
Yeah, that definitely is a good point. I feel like Ari is definitely a champion that is hard to lock down, but then again, what does Ari do in these fights, period, right? Ari loves to go in with these spirit rushes, but if you go into this comp, you are asking to get absolutely ripped apart. If Super Chase isn't the one who nars you into the entire team, it is going to be T-Lights blocking all your damage, Dr. Phil and Chill and Goat Listed just one-shotting you. So this Ari, incredibly restricted on what they can do in team fights. And speaking of team fights, we might have the start of one.
Easy pop down, gonna deny any charm angles for Zui. Oh, no, gonna burst down Daisy. That's great focus from the Sunrush team, but now Rat will maybe in trouble. He's gonna get those stun passes stacked up onto him. It's a nice engage though. They found some knockouts on the back, but they're going to go listed with the shields and heals. But it's not good enough. Vornity finds one on to the Senna. Now Super Chase teleporting in. Vornity not gonna get one shot by the unleashed power. He lives with 1 HP. He may take him down from Zui, but he's not in any danger of getting killed. Rutledge is here now. They're looking to force the fight a little bit further, but Rabble and Vornity not having the HP to continue the fight, but 1 for nothing when you're this far behind. You gotta be happy with that for Sunrush.
Sunrush, they managed to lock down Goat Lister, and it felt like Bing Chillers, their response was just a little too late. The hook lands, and the teleports are super delayed there from the solo laners. They aren't there in time to help. If they had just teleported about a second and a half sooner, maybe Goat Lister would have still been in around the fight. Maybe they could have saved that Senna, but they managed to pick it off. They don't get an objective with it, crucially. It is just 1 pick, but yeah, a major shutdown going to Sunrush. And like we saw in game number 1, if you give them 1 shutdown, 1 big key fight, they could steal it away. And now it's really going to be interesting to see what Sunrush do, because they are in definitely a more compromising position here in game 2 than they were in game 1. So it is definitely a steeper mountain for this red squad to climb. But I believe that they can do it if they just continue finding picks like that.
Yeah, that was really nice for them. And importantly, I think Vornity getting that kill, one of their 2 hyper carries between the Ari and the Callista, finding that as Super Chase wants to find engage, doesn't have a lot of range just yet. He's going to start building it up now, but Vornity safe on this backline ground. He's going to get stunned up on his single from Super Chase. The Dawn channel over the top just to seal the deal. It's a double kill for Callista. That might just be the end of the game.
And Super Chase, he slams the members of Sunrush into the ground, and he slams the hopes of Sunrush, looking for a clean 2-0 in the ground with it. They will get the inhibitor. Dragon and Baron are up, and Bing Chillers, 1 pick onto Goat List is not going to deter them from taking this game.
Yes, do you remember like 5 minutes ago when I said, hey, unless Super Chase gets like a super engage, can you catch this Ari? That's the kind of engage you want from your Gnar. The biggest 3-man slam I've ever seen with the Senna ulti over the top. It was just so much clean engage from Bing Chillers. They'll grab the soul point, but hang on, Sunrush now has pressure to look for the Baron. The cooldowns are potentially in their favor. They have all of their ultimates up, and while they do have the Gnar back, they're still missing Unleashed Power. They're still missing Dawning Shadow. No Glacial Fissure either. They're going to look for it. Knights have overstepped his bounds, though. He's going to be forced back, but it's choking. Going over to Rabble. They found their 1 pick, and they're going to look for some more. Gold List, of course, flash away in the backline. Zui looking for some angles, for some damage onto Technics. Hypercarry getting super low. Super Chase doing some work on the backline. He's a godsend on this Gnar. His peel is good. His damage is better. He finds it double. He's going to look to kite out Rutledge. Goes mega. Give him the triple. He earned it. Super Chase with the super top performance.
And the T1 flash. This man is playing like
Zeus indeed. They are going to turn onto the Baron, and that might as well be the game. They are so much gold up here. They have so many objectives in their belt, and they have a damn good Gnar in their back pocket. BCS are looking to tie this series up.
When I saw the pick go down on Dr. Villagilla, I was like, damn, that's kind of it. Sunrush have found their way back in. They're going to look for the Baron after that. This could be huge for them, potentially look to turn around the game, but Super Chase just does not want to lose this game. 5-0-3 on this Gnar. Anytime he's on the back line, he's a threat. Anytime he's looking for that Gnar, he is a threat.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, 2 items acquired on this Gnar, just shredding through tanks in that last fight. That Black Cleaver coming in so clutch for dealing with Rabble, for dealing with Hybrid Carry and Rutledge, just not able to kill him, but also this Gnar just dealing so much damage in return. This was not the target that Sunrush had in mind for that fight. They just completely ignored the Gnar, and he tore their entire team apart.
Yeah, while we're talking about Rabble looking for some great engages on him mind, this is not a question of his performance in this game. Why does he have unending despair? And why is he looking for the Fimbulwinter after this on support econ? I was talking about this before the game 1. I was talking about, like, hey, maybe this build is kind of fake, but like solo queue can be really good where you get item CDR in your runes to try and just make these items proc more often. Again, great build in ARAM. Fantastic there. Good if you're like a really fed top lane tank, but otherwise, on support econ, you're just not getting enough done with these tank items.
Pretty. I think you're forgetting one crucial thing. I think that Rabble is just trying to tell us his current emotional state. Honestly, I can see why he would think that way, as the game is continuing, but Rutledge is doing his best Trick 2G impression here with the split pushing.
I mean, the inhibitor goes down for Sunrush. They lose that inhibitor, but Rutledge is going to get a tower of his own accord. They're going to pull Super Chase out of the fight. If Sunrush are going to look to engage the fight, it has to be now. Super Chase isn't here. He's going to find Rutledge on the side lane with a Gnar. Rutledge is just dead. Now the fight is going to begin in earnest. He's going to teleport back into the fight with no ulti, but the fight's already over. Zooey will fight T-Lights, but that seems to be the only kill they might be able to find. Hang on. Zooey wants to find more, but it's just too much damage from the members of Big Chillers. One Nexus goes down, the second one will fall shortly after. Zooey's gonna kite Daisy into the Nexus just for a bit of fun. But Big Chillers will tie up the series 1-1 and take us to game 3.
Yup, Big Chillers with a much cleaner game here in game number 2. A redemption game for this squad, and honestly, a huge masterclass from all of the members. But in particular, I really want to highlight Super Chase and Goatlista. This Senna, you would expect, like you said, Brady, this Senna is usually the kind of pick you would see getting bullied in the early game. We had a lot of talks in the draft about this Senna Braum combo potentially getting Doval out by this Vi being present in the bot lane. But no, it was domination from this Senna Braum combo from essentially minute number 1. They owned the lane, and later on in the game, when Super Chase was able to break out, sort of be around the map on this Gnar, so many good key ultimates that won his team so many fights. I really felt like he was the difference maker in this game number 2. A lot of those picks came from those ults. And honestly, I think Sunrush, they got to be thinking about banning this Gnar in game number 3.
Yeah, we were questioning it in draft, saying like, hey, do we really want to give Rutledge counterpick? Do we want to allow him to have that open pool to let him play how he wants to play? Apparently, Super Chase is fine with it if you give him his Gnar, so I wonder if that will be a target in the ban phase. And I gotta say, you were shouting out Goatlista and Super Chase. Great call-outs from you, but I have to say, T-Lights on this Braum and Technics on the Ivern, keeping their team alive in every fight. Anytime that it looked like possibly Sunrush could turn it around, there was a key shield, a key unbreakable, just some great stopping power from these 2 supportive members. And again, something we were questioning in the draft, are we really putting Technics on this supportive jungler? Do we not want him on a carry? Well, he carried on the Ivern. 0-0-13 is the exact kind of scoreline you want to see from a support.
And Dr. Phil and Chill, you existed, I guess. You had some good scatter of the weeks. I love how we commented on Super Chase, Technics, Goatlista, and T-Lights, and then we just left Dr. Phil and Chill. When he rewatches the VOD, he's going to be sad about hearing that. But yeah, I mean, Syndra was also incredibly key to a lot of those fights, burning down Vornati in a lot of those exchanges, being able to get so many key scatter of the weeks. Overall, just a good game from Bing Chillers, and if they can repeat this same success in game number 3, they could easily take this series and take their #1 spot in their respective division.
Yeah, we've seen both these teams at their peak throughout this series. Now it's just going to be the difference maker of who's got the momentum and who's going to be playing at that peak again in this game 3. We're in for a banger of the series. We're going to take a short break while we get ready for the draft. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. We're here for the exciting conclusion of Game 3 between Sun, Rush, and Bing, Chillers, Emerald. These teams are quick on the draw and are quick to getting into draft. They've already started their picking bans, blacks. What do you want to see change coming into this draft phase?
I mean, first of all, I wanted to see Nar banned, and Sun Rush way ahead of me. The third ban is going to belong to the Gnar, so we will not be seeing that in game number 3. Super Chase with a little tear rolling down his eye in game number 3. But nonetheless, Sunrush going to open up swinging with the Twisted Fate pick, going back to their roots with this flex pick being up and available. And it looks like Big Chillers want to respond with an equally powerful pick. You know, this team fighting Nico was not correctly displayed in game number 1, so maybe they want to try and give it another test run. But I also feel like maybe there are ways that you could try to negate this Twisted Fate if it is going mid. Try to be a little bit more aggressive. But I feel like you don't have a lot of options this early on, so you will have to settle for the Nico.
Yeah, I think also important to mention the Senna for Big Chillers is banned away. So no super strong scaling bottom laner this time around. Maybe Callista can have a bit more freedom to play a little bit more aggressive this time around, especially into the potential Twisted Fate, which is what we saw in that game 1. And in the laning phase, it looked great. It looked fantastic for them, but it just couldn't manage to keep up in that mid and late game. Twisted Fate just having a little bit more value. They're not going to grab their AD carry, though. They're going to lock away the Braum as the priority pick here. And how T-Lights was performing, I can't say I'm too shocked, but blind support is not something you see every day.
Absolutely. Now, I'm really thinking about picks that can go well with this Braum, in particular, things that can easily proc those passives coming in from Braum. I'm thinking of things maybe like the Vayne is optional, Varus is optional. Vayne, I think, could be a little bit more prominent if you're looking for flex. A lot of people are saying how broken Vayne top is right now, and it could be a kryptonite to Rutledge, who plays a lot of those melee bruiser-esque top laners. But yeah, Sunrush gonna just lock in that Akshan, so probably giving away that this Twisted Fate is going bot lane with the Lulu. Not sure if I'm a big fan of them locking this early on, giving away the intentions to place this Twisted Fate in bot lane, but it is going to give them a lot of on-hit damage in particular.
Yeah, Lulu, I've got to say, as much as I like this pick in draft, I finally get to complain about how broken I think this champion is. Polymorph is one of the least fun, least played around abilities in the whole game. That ability is so broken, Riot. Please stop buffing Lulu. We don't want to see her anymore. I don't want Zeri Lulu meta for MSI. Please, I beg you. As Big Chillers are going to lock in the Zac for what is most likely their jungle, but could potentially be top lane for Super Chase up there. I really like the combo of Lulu Twisted Fate. It's a lot of really good crowd control and lockdown for the Sunrush bottom side if they end up throwing it in the bottom lane as opposed to like mid or top. But it does mean that they're going to be, again, like we said in game 1, really heavy on magic damage. They're going to be really aggressively trying to take advantage of that magic damage. But it means that it's really easy to build around. Like a pair of tenacity boots is pretty damn good for Big Chillers in this game.
Absolutely. Tenacity is really going to be the name of the game, but there's a lot of disruption from Big Chillers already, right? You have Zac and Nico. This is enough to really make it difficult for Sunrush to get anything done in team fights. And now, I think with plenty of peel, I mean, you have Braum, Zac, Nico. These are all really good at protecting a certain carry. And now the question becomes, what is that carry going to be? Varus taken off the table, Callista taken off the table. I still think Vayne is super duper good here, especially if you want to flex it around that AD carry and top position, but we'll have to wait and see. I have to imagine it's going to be a champion that can easily proc these Braum passives, and it's Jinx hovered and locked in for BCS.
I like the Jinx here. I think it's a really solid pickup. It's just a good standard scaling AD carry, and like you said, with a lot of disruption and appeal that Big Chillers have already drafted for themselves, it's pretty easy to just stick a Jinx in that backline and say, hey, go hog wild. Go absolutely crazy. But versus the Lulu Twisted Fate, I think Cleanse, again, like we were saying in game 1, almost has to be a necessity.
Absolutely. Cleanse going to be a necessity for the Jinx, which does stunt the growth of that champion just a little bit because you usually want to go Ghost Flash on Jinx. But no time to rest now. Sunrush coming out swinging with the newly buffed Volibear. I talked a little bit about this before the stream started, that I liked the buffs that Volibear received, and it seems like Sunrush liked it as well. This is a pick that Rutledge is familiar on, so it's most likely going to go in the top lane as Lily is locked in, confirming that is going to be a top Volibear and a jungle Lilia. And Sunrush, I actually kind of like this comp. I think that it has a lot of damage and is really punishing for some of these immobile members of Big Chillers to get caught out on. If this Jinx gets caught, if this Nico gets caught, it's really just game over. That is a Ari locked in.
Hey.
This is Nico. This is wait.
Is it Nico top versus the volley bear? Is that what they're going for?
I think it might be Nico jungle.
There's no way it's Nico jungle. Like, you have Zach. Surely you just throw him in a jungle, right? Like,
I feel like the jungle position would benefit Nico here, especially when you place Zach against Volibear. Zach does have, I believe, that percentage health damage. So being able to go against a health stacker like a Volibear could be really useful. But we'll have to wait and see. I think that there are a couple of options that Bing Chillers could go for, but only time will tell. That is a really interesting combo here from this red side. And of game 3 of all places to put it out, Bing Chillers really pulling out all the stops here in this series to pull the win.
I mean, with all the magic damage that Bing Chillers have, I wouldn't even be upset if it was like a Blade of the Ruin King first item Nico top and try and just fight fire with fire to try and match the Volibear. But I do think you're right about the Zac versus the Volibear. He is a health stacking champion. His sustain really is only gated by his mana, as opposed to the Zac, where his sustain is only gated by, well, you know, his sustain.
Nothing.
Yeah, he's gonna press W on the wave. He's gonna get a lot of health back, and that's really how he is gonna exist in the lane. But it's also how he does in the jungle. He clears pretty healthily, pretty fast, because he's got that AoE damage. They are gonna. That's the Zac top. That means it's Nico jungle almost for sure, right? Like, it's not gonna be. It's not gonna be like Braum jungle or Ari jungle. Yeah, that's just Nico jungle locked in. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen this in Season 14. It had a little bit of a stint with Agurin and some other European full clear enthusiasts picking it up. But we'll have to wait and see how this Nico spars in the new and improved jungle. In particular, though, I feel like Nico would be really good at taking those grubs. And you do have a really powerful side. You do have 2 really powerful topside solo laners that can provide you priority, give you the sort of safety to be able to full clear. So this is an unorthodox pick, but it actually does make sense for Big Chillers to lock this one in. I actually think that this is a really good pickup for them.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it works in game. We don't have any ad reads for you in this game 3, so we're going to just send it off to a short break to see the final decider of who's going to get first place in this division between Sun Rush and Bing Chillers Emerald. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Someone can hear my silent screaming.
Welcome back, everybody. We're here for Game 3 of Sun Rush versus Big Chiller's Emerald. You caught a glimpse of Volibear the long way at the start of that, but we're here. We're on the Rift. We've got the top lane Volibear Quaxi. We're talking about it before the stream. We've got the jungle Nico, which I'm very excited to see how that one will work out. I think we got a lot of interesting picks that are going to be do or die in this do or die Game 3.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't see a Nico. All I see is an Ari. I only see 2 Aris, not 3 Aris. Oh, there's only 2 now. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't see a Nico.
He got the mana off of Hybrid Carry. It's a huge win for the second Dr. Philly chill.
It's a 15 angle for Sunrush now. They're too tilted. Like you said, Brittany, it is going to be that Nico jungle. Curiously enough, taking the Dark Harvest. Usually I feel when you see, usually when you see Nico's, especially in the jungle last season, you usually saw them go electrocute. Sometimes the first strike, occasionally you would see the Dark Harvest. So this is certainly not the most out there thing, but it is definitely a more aggressive, more snowbally rune that really is going to force Nico to be more gank heavy in this early game. And as he's pathing toward top lane, I have to imagine he wants to gank this top as soon as possible. You have so much setup with Zac, so really just pathing to where you have the most setup to get that gank as guaranteed as possible.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of crowd control for both teams in this game. It's just going to be a matter of who can use it more effectively. And I do want to point out, speaking of crowd control, Lista did not opt for the cleanse. This is a Ghost Jinx, and I have to say, I think this is a huge blunder for Lista in this Game 3, and I think that could be killer for this bottom lane.
It is really difficult for Lista to exist in this game already. Being in a mobile ADC against champions like the Twisted Fate, like the Lilia, even like the Volibear, it makes it very difficult to navigate these team fights. Not having the cleanse means that if you get hit by any one singular ability, that is going to be the entire force of Sunrush bearing down on you. So it really is relying on Lista either getting ahead in this early game or being able to play that late game flawlessly. And so far, the first option is not looking super likely as the Nico is pathing away from this bot lane.
Yeah, but speaking of pathing away, we've got Rutledge looking for a bit of an aggressive invade as the top laner. He's going to force the flash out of Technics, and when you see a squishy jungler, or maybe an off-meta jungler, this is exactly what you should do as a solo laner. Great push from Rutledge.
Yep, he manages to push the first couple of waves, uses his aggression to mess with Technics. Now, this stunts the full clear of this Nico significantly, right? You cannot get the red buff. So it is going to mean this Nico starts off the game at a significant disadvantage, won't be able to fight for the crab with Super Chase, who is beginning to get push, and it just locks this pick out very early on, makes it very difficult for it to navigate this early game, where it is by far the weakest.
I know you were talking about Technics not getting the red buff there, but he did actually manage to clear him out. Once Rutledge got the flash, he did just leave. I'm a little surprised that he did. I was right with you there, like, oh yeah, that's just a free red buff for the Volibear. This should be super easy, but no, it's just a flash burn, which means that Technics does get that level 4. He will not get the first Skull Crab, as Hybrid Carry was there and did manage to pick that one up, but it's still a slightly slower clear for Technics, and not having flash I think is going to be a really big deal for the potential first gank, because there's no flash tangle barbs that he can look for on either the Twisted Fate or on the Akshan. As T-Light's actually going to get a little aggressive, the minions are going to block up the Winter's Bite there. Born to be fine to just walk away, and Hollywood for Rabble means that Lista can't find any trade either. It's just health bars across the board. And Super Chase is going to eat a little bit of damage here as Rutledge will bite into him.
It's maybe looking for something here.
Bornity is going to get stunned down onto T-Light. He's going to pop that Ghost. T-Light's actually getting very, very low. Rabble just throwing down the auto attack. The Ignite's there as well. Lista's going to pop his own Ghost, looking to get aggressive. Bornity is just going to get stunned down on him. Wait, Nico's in the HP. Technics is here. Flash forward charm onto Zooey. Technics managed to sneak into the lane. Zooey is going to be able to get away with that heroic swing. I think it's just going to be able to walk away since Hybrid Carry is here. Loses a flash, but keeps his life.
Good play there from Technics. A little unfortunate that, again, he didn't have that flash. He could have followed up for that kill as Rutledge gonna take a tower shot as they're just exchanging blows, but healing them up right back after. I don't expect a lot of action to happen in this top lane, no matter how hard they hit each other.
Yeah, they're going to keep bouncing off of each other. Super Chase does still have that passive, so I think even if he gets really low here, he's not feeling too bad, actually. If that passive is going to be popped, I think Rutledge can find a kill here, depending on how he can clear out these blocks. Flash comes through. Rutledge finds first blood.
Rutledge with the first blood, a caster curse for the Aegis. Super Chase dies with flash up as well, so this Zac still going to be able to absorb this wave, but that is gold in the pocket of Rutledge. And more pressure being put on this Zac. So now, priority in these two solo lanes. You can see Hybrid Carry moving on up. Could just look to take these grubs away with the pressure that is exerted onto Bing Chillers.
Yeah, a big deal to get that solo kill, and already sitting onto that Spectre's Cowl means that he's not going to be able to be as poked out in the lane as Vornity getting aggressed on, but does have that fleet footwork and the Lulu shielding, so it'll be just fine as Super Chase again. I don't think you want to be taking these trades. Rutledge is doing a great job at denying all of these little Zac blobs and forcing Super Chase off of the trades.
Yeah, as a random...
There was a wolf there, hang on.
Begins its recall in the top, but you know, that's not something you see every day. As Hybrid Carry
going to still getting super low. T-Lights is going to force the flash out of Vornity in the bottom side. Every time we come down here, I feel like T-Lights is trying to be the aggressor in these trades. He will get a flash out of the TF, but his health bar is getting lower and lower, and Goatlista is losing a lot of mana as Technics will spot Hybrid.
Oh, he missed the bar.
Dive here, no Tango Barbs. The slow comes down from that Swirl Seed, but it's not the wrong one actually, as Technics able to walk away from the play. A little bit of Nico trickery. He's got his flash back up as well, so even the early loss of that flash has not slowed him down too much, and he's clear.
Yeah, I mean, really good. A lot of credit to Technics here. He did blunder the early game on this Nico, or rather got blundered by Rutledge. It wasn't really a fault of his own, but yeah, he has slowly been climbing his way back into this game. You can see the CS department is still even as it pertains to junglers. The Hextech alternator has been completed by Technics, so this Nico will start to deal a lot of damage. And speaking of damage, T-Light's looking for another
rabble, but I don't think they expected Zooey down here. Gonna force the flash away behind his already carrying Goatlista. Got stunned up. No cleanse means Goatlista is dead. Now Dr. Philichil is here following up onto that roam, but he's gonna get stunned up. Polymorph ignited. He's gonna have the health bar taking away. The Ignite takes the room. Lulu is a freaking champion. I swear she is. Technics will get a trade back in response. It's a 1-for-1 at least, but Goatlista did also go down, so it's actually a 2-for-1 in favor of Sunrush.
Sunrush managing to be the ones to get the better of Bing Chillers in that exchange, but the health bars and frankly the wave state in this bot lane is just too bad for them to look for anything like a dragon or any vision on the jungle of Bing Chillers. So they get the kill, they get the gold, but they don't manage to get an objective with it. Slow burn here from Sunrush as they manage to be the ones to win out on a majority of these trades, but just never being able to win enough to take an objective along with it, really push that lead further.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal for Sunrush to be able to have this early game lead, as it's not something that they've had over the course of this whole series. It really has been Bing Chillers in the early game, showing up huge, getting their early game aggression out, but it does really feel like Sunrush is doing a great job of punishing that aggression this time around. You can see T-Light trying to press the advantage, trying to press the issue in this bottom lane, but every time he does, Vornity and Rabble manage to trade back, if not evenly, close to evenly, and it's working out for them in the long term.
As
hang on, Rutledge
to trade Rutledge.
Really in trouble. Does still have that Stormbreaker platform. Bro, super shape. Rutledge immediately pops the ulti for himself, but if you're trading a flash for an ulti as Rutledge, you gotta be pretty happy with that one, right?
He manages to get away, and I mean, look at the wave state as well. Super Chase is gonna have to push this entire wave, and even then, I feel like Rutledge only going to miss about a wave of experience, not going to be super detrimental to this Volley Bear.
Ooh, pop up from the bottom side onto 2. Vornity stepped up too far. He's got the wild growth on him. He's something they should just be able to take down this TF. They're going to try and give the kill over to Goatlista, and they manage to Rabble. Has that stun stacked up. Goatlista finds 2.
Jinx getting the get excited. They managed to give the kills over toward Goatlista, and I love that they did. This Jinx is so incredibly volatile for BCS to play around. Giving it the early game kills is an outstanding move from them, and now they're gonna rotate to take this dragon. They managed to win their first exchange of the game, and they managed to take an objective along with it, really equalizing the state of the game here, putting Sunrush in a little bit of a pickle. We'll just have to wait and see what Sunrush can do in return. Grubs are up, and you can see Hybrid Carry is on the top side of the map.
Yeah, I would love to see them just go for 6 grubs, try and take advantage of the fact that they did have an advantage early on in this game. They've got wave pushing on pretty much all sides of the map. Zooey's wave clear on this Akshan is pretty damn good, and so is Vornity on the Twisted Fate. So if they can manage to find 6 grubs, there is a expected win condition of just being able to take down every tower in the game. And with Technics not even looking for a response, that's just going to be the free 6 going over to Sunrush.
Yup, 6 grubs going the way of Sunrush, but now the question becomes, how are they going to be able to push that lead? They have gotten plates into this game.
Oh, you are way overstepped. Sun is going to be knocked up. Goatlista looking to get those autos down. Mega death rocket from downtown. Goatlista finds it. Nice block from T-Lights during that play to make sure that Goatlista did not get stunned. And suddenly the Jinx we were so worried about in the draft is up 3-0. As in the meantime, Technics is here, has that pop blossom. You can see that little grub, that little Krug in the wave, just sort of hanging out, being like, hey, you don't see me. I'm just a poor little Krug. Rutledge actually looking to go back in. I'm not 100% sure about this one. He does have the Stormbringer for himself. He's going to pop that one down. Technics is going to finally pop that Pop Blossom save. Super Chase is past. And Hybrid Carry is up here, so they are just going to force away from the play. And a bit of a strange exchange up on the top side, but no kills given over.
I liked the idea of Rutledge going for a turn there. You could see Hybrid Carry was making his way toward the top side, but it felt like he went a little too early with the Stormbringer. They didn't manage to get a kill off of it. I feel like if he had waited 1 to 2 seconds, Hybrid Carry could have flash Q'd or flash E'd to guarantee the sleep onto one of the members of BCS. So just a little bit of unfortunate timing there from Volibear, but the attempt was good. They still managed to get an advantage in the top lane. They still have 6 grubs, and Rutledge is still very much bullying this Zach and forcing him to play under the tower.
Yeah, just about 600 gold ahead with that kill with the CS lead he's got. Plates even between them, as Octagonal actually manages to find a teleport on to Vornity in this bottom lane. The Mega Death Rocket will go wide. Vornity does get knocked up by that Glacial Fissure. It should just be the death of Twisted Fate. Flash forward, Ignite coming through. Vornity's going to take away the Fleet Fulmer. He might just survive. No, the Ignite Flash finds him. But in the meantime, Zooey has rotated down. He's got the Heroic Swing, looking for the damage on the Dr. Village Hill. Technics is here as well. Might be able to find something. No Pop Blossom. Zooey finds another. Does get eventually picked up. Technics finds that one, but now Hybrid Carry is here, and the health bars are so low. Now, why did you walk up? He's just going to be donating a kill over, but it's 2 more for Hybrid Carry. Scrappy exchange on the bottom side.
Hybrid Carry making use of that Leandri's purchase, first item on the Lilia, and he comes up with a 2-kill advantage just like that. A lot of resources are to be expected to be placed into this Lilia, and that is exactly the kind of play that Sunrush love to make. Now you can see with the priority in a mid lane, this Lilia completely undetected across the maps, and it's just going to be looking for this Rift Herald spawning in a few seconds here.
I thought there might have been a potential for that bottom lane turret to go down with all 6 of those scrubs, but the bottom lane from Bing Chillers does arrive in time. It's just down to 1 plate as the plates fall off. So the next time this wave hits that tower, that turret is most likely just gone.
Absolutely, and if the grubs aren't going to kill it, then a Rift Herald certainly will, as Hybrid Carry and Zooey just going to take this Rift Herald. They're going to be uncontested. I think that Bink Chillers, they know they can't go for this. Technics on the bottom side of the map and no priority in either of the side lanes, so not worth even trying to steal that from any member of Bink Chillers. They're just going to let that one go. But they are around for this dragon, spawning in about 45 seconds. They know Hybrid Carry's on that top side because he took the Rift Herald. They could look to establish vision around this area, make it very dangerous for the members of Sunrush to walk in this area. Instead, he's a minion.
Yeah, he's gonna get pinged out. They do notice him on the mini. Magus doesn't manage to find that Tangle Bar. It's nice to dodge out from Rabble there. Zui in the meantime looking for trade in the mid lane, but a nice charm from Dr. Phil and Chill will keep him safe. But yeah, I would love to see Bing Chillers look to get aggressive on this dragon. It's the Hextech dragon as the overlay is lying to you a little bit. Still showing up as the Ocean Dragon since that was the last one that spawned. But yeah, early Hextech dragon would be really, really nice for the side. The extra cooldown reduction and the extra attack speed, never bad for anybody in the game ever, pretty much. And it's especially not bad for Jinx and for Nico specifically. The extra cooldown reduction and the attack speed. So nice for those two.
He's hidden again.
And Rocket belts in onto 2. The burst comes through, Rabble's down. Technics finds the second kill. Beautifully played. Somebody does not know how to count their minions. In the meantime, Sunrush are going to look to trade back in the mid lane. A little bit of damage down to the Dr. Phil as Zui swings over, but they really are just playing for the turret. They're going to grab and charge in on to the next one as they they do manage to get that charge in as Super Chase is here. Rutledge does step up a little bit too far forward, but manages to walk out. But in the meantime, with the mid turret going down, it is the Dragon going over to Bing Chillers once again.
Now Bing Chiller's potentially threatening a soul point here as the Chemtech Dragon is going to be our soul. But Super Chase, you are face checking, my friend.
He's playing Zach. He's gonna get stunned, but he's already elastic slingshot over the wall. The Listen Lullaby is here. Do they actually have damage? Who killed it? Zach, the burst comes through from the Stormbringer. Yeah, that's a dead Zach. See you later. They're gonna give the kill over to Rutledge. Let him have his second of the game. Yeah, that's just a bit of an overstep from Super Chase. Not sure what he wanted to look for there.
And Super Chase is down, and now vision completely established on this top side of the map by Sunrush makes it so difficult for any member of Bing Chillers to walk around this top side. It is completely dark for them, and you can see they're just going to make their plays on the bot side. This is beautiful plays from them.
Yeah, Morty just stepping up too far forward. A soul for a soul. Super Chase steps up to face check, gets blasted, and so does Morty. It's 1-for-1 on both sides.
And now it looks like it's going to be 1-for-1 on turrets as well. You can see Zui is in the area. He's invisible, but they're still outnumbered. It is still a 2v3. Dr. Philchill also has teleport, so if things get dicey, he can always make his way down here.
Wants his way in, only finds Claw Blossom onto 1. The Rattle is burstable. Is going to use that Wild Growth on himself. The Texans in the meantime taking the tower. Going to get pretty low, but now Dr. Philchill is here to come up. It will not find any revenge this time around. It's 2 kills going over to Big Chillers.
And it is certainly going to be a tower Sunrush. They're trying to scramble some members bot, but they realize it's not worth it. It felt like a little bit of a sloppy dive there from Bing Chillers. They could have just tried to focus down the tower, maybe put pressure on the members getting doped by Sunrush to make a mistake, burn some subs before they inevitably go in on them. But yeah, they just go for the members. They take the turret afterwards. The result is still the same as both teams looking for equal trades on opposite sides of the map. And I feel like it's all going to come to a head in this inevitable team fight, most likely around this third dragon spawning in about 2.5 minutes here.
Yeah, this has been a pretty back and forth game. Neither of these teams wants to give up with that first place position. As a reminder, that is what both these teams are fighting for. It's been action across the board. I wouldn't be shocked if you forgot. Both of these teams undefeated so far. I believe only one of the teams, I believe it was Bing Chillers, dropping a single game. And in the cross match, divisional match versus Con Esports, they did get 2-0'd. But technically undefeated for both sides. We'll have to see who is going to come out on top, and whoever does come out on top, it does get that coveted first place in division position.
It is really surprising, actually, to see Sunrush doing so well, especially with, you know, the roster shuffles that they had early on in this season. They came out with a really explosive squad, and a decent amount of their members were off the team at around week 3, and so there came a time where people were uncertain of how this team would operate with new members coming in so soon after a lot of teams had started to find their footing. Sunrush, we're still struggling rather to get some primary players off of the ground. But in a series like this, and, you know, in the subsequent weeks that follow that roster shuffle, they have really put those concerns, those questions to rest, and just are really hammering away at a lot of these teams. A lot of these players, they're no strangers to the competitive scene. They are incredibly experienced. This is by far a team of veterans.
and they're showing their experience here. Going against Bing Chillers, they are routinely making the right play and only really getting caught out during some of these fights where they occasionally get hand stiff.
Yeah, hand stiff, I think is really what we want to call a lot of this series. It has been that aggressive early battling in the early and mid game, and across both of these games has been aggression being the name of the game. I do want to point out, we were talking in draft about the potential overextension of magic damage that this Big Chiller side has, and the fact that Mercury Chance would be really, really good for both of these teams. I just want to point out that Rutledge has built entirely magic resist. He has said, I don't need a lick of armor. He's got the Cane of Record and the Hollow Embraces. Technics wants to find a pick on to the TF. Vornity, goodbye. Rapid Force the flash over the wall as well. Hybrid carry, maybe caught out on this front line. The charm lands from Dr. Phil and Chill. This Lilia is fairly squishy, but Rutledge is there on the front line now. Hybrid carry survives with a sliver of HP. Rutledge is now potentially low. Zooey picks up 1 kill. Rutledge survives for long enough to get some damage down, but now Zooey has to face Tech versus Goatlista, and this Jinx is getting excited. Technics finds that kill. Goatlista still keeping that passive on, has that ghost up. Hybrid carry can't find the damage. It's shut down going over the Jinx. 7-2 for Goatlista, and they're gonna take the dragon as well.
And Goatlista untouched for too long. This Jinx running circles around the members of Sun Rush. Did take damage toward the latter half of that fight, but it was too late. The kiting on this Jinx is immaculate. That'll be soul point for Bing Chillers, and now Sun Rush, they gotta be sweating around this point in the game. Chemtech Soul, a lot of people think that it is not the best soul in the game, and it certainly isn't, but it certainly is good on champions like Zach, who already, it takes a long time to kill them. It's gonna take them even longer now to die. Yeah, Sun Rush, they're on a timer at this point.
Yeah, I think they have to find a way to win a fight in the next 4 minutes to look to grab some positioning around this dragon. But I was just talking about the fact that Bing Chillers have really over-indexed onto magic damage across the board. They're pretty much 3 AP threats, 2.5 if you want to count Zach, but Jinx is the sole AD, and if there's ever a champion that you want to be your sole physical damage threat, by God, it has to be Jinx. This champion outputs so much damage.
And now with 2 items, QSS acquired as well. We were talking a lot about the lack of cleanse from this Jinx being the main point of concern on this pick, not being able to cleanse things like the Twisted Fate card, like the Lilia sleeve. Having that QSS alleviates so much of that concern. So as long as Bing Chillers can sort of play a protect the puppy type style around this Jinx, as long as they can keep repeating that same success at that dragon fight, Goatlista should have no problem just running the teams over. As Technics fails the ultimate, but it was a for effort.
I don't know if Vornity needed to even flash that one. I think he was just nervous about getting caught out again. The nerves starting to come through for these players a little bit. As Vornity, I think, pretty clearly on my screen at least, was outside of that AoE. But yeah, I think he's been picked out so often, already 0-5 on the Twisted Fate. Pick that they index pretty heavily into. First round pick to grab this one. You really feel like when you get that sort of a pick priority in the draft, you have to be like, okay, I have to be one of the stronger players when we get this pick together. You have to like opt for it. And speaking of opting for it, it's just gonna be Sun Rush opting for the Baron.
They're spotted.
Spotted out. It's at 9K already. Technics is in the area. Gonna be moving his way over. Baron's already down though. That is just gonna be secure for Sun Rush. Dr. Phil and Shield trying to get some damage down onto the front line, but this might just be a clean getaway. The heist of the century for Sun Rush. They're just gonna walk out with 5 Baron buffs. What?
On Rush, they managed to steal the Baron and not lose a single member. Technics didn't have flash. He couldn't go over the pit. And yeah, a huge heist from Sun Rush. They... what just happened, Brittany?
I'm gonna be real. I don't know how on earth did Sun Rush with the we'll say the struggling that they've been doing in this early and mid game. It has been a lot of Bing Chillers playing aggressive, playing around their advantages, getting picks and winning fights. But there was no fight there. There was no pick there. It was just Sun Rush saying, hey, Bing Chillers are out of position. We're just going to take this Baron. Because their objective take with the Auction, with the Lilia True Damage, with the TF auto attacks is really fast. This is something that Bing Chillers, I think the next time the Baron buff spawns up, the next dragon that comes around, it has to be respected.
Absolutely. And hopefully Technics will have ult available if he is able to steal that away, because that is certainly a Baron that Big Chillers are face-palming after this game. Regardless of result, they're going to look back at that and really, it's sort of going to make them cringe. It's like one of those 7th grade memories, I feel, for Big Chillers that you just, that keeps you up at like 2 a.m.
Oh, Technics on the flank again. 2-man pop blossom. Iron Carry breaks his arm guard. He's going to find a sleep onto 3 members. No, it's only onto 2. Nice block there. Hyper Carry's out. Goldlista is going to be able to get that ghost on and start getting his bomb attacks out. But Hyper Carry somehow managed to survive that exchange. You can see Zooey flanking there on the Auction, maybe looking for a potential pick as Rutledge is going to start tanking up some auto attacks. Hyper Carry trying to heal up off the canvas. Rutledge, yeah, so tanky on this volley. He's so difficult to put down. Zooey still not spotted on this Auction. The members of Big Chillers are going to start to rotate down. Dr. Phil Chill getting very low, but he'll manage to survive. Zooey did not find the execute. Technics goes on a rampage now. Super Chase teleporting into the fight. Rutledge maybe in trouble. That Glacial Fissure going to slow him down for quite a while. Then be forced to use that sword. They're going to get out of the fight. There's the Twisted Fate ultimate there. Maybe he can look for something. He's just going to use it to get into the fight. But you come too close, my friend. Bornity caught out again. Technics goes to stop for Ravel. Might be the next to fall. Goldless is going to flash forward, get excited, and pick that one up. Goes dominating on the Jinx, and a disaster play from Sunrush. They had it in the bag with their Baron, and they threw it all away.
Sunrush, they looked for the re-engage, but Bornity teleporting to his death. Now 0-7-3. An absolute tragedy on this Twisted Fate pick. And now it's going to be the soul picked up for Big Chiller Sunrush. Like you said, Pretty, their Baron is completely obsolete at this point on borrowed time. You can see Rutledge in this top lane trying to make the most of it, but it isn't going to amount to any big advantage. BCS in a commanding control of this game 3. And we'll have to see what Sunrush can do to try and bring this one back. Another desperation play might be in the works.
Yeah, Rutledge does manage to find that tower, but I think maybe now is actually in a little bit of trouble. Dr. Phil Chill does have that Spirit Rush, and they want to chase him down, but they're going to have the queue. Just a little bit too tanky. They're just going to let him walk out of that one. But yeah, it felt like Sunrush had finally found their way back in. It was going to be a repeat of game 1 where they found this crazy advantage out of nowhere for some unforeseen reason. They managed to get a gold lead back, but that time they just threw it away. They don't have that same lead on the bottom side. Bornity, again, struggling on this Twisted Fate pick. 0-7 is not the spot where you want this Twisted Fate to be, especially as one of your bigger carry threats in this mid and late game.
But I will say that the lack of penetration on the side of BCS is really giving Rutledge a lot of time to survive. And we're about to see it in this fight here.
Pop Blossom, there's just onto 1 and going on Rutledge. Now the full members of the Big Chillers are going to come and collapse. Goldlista is free alling right now. It's a nice sleep onto 1, but it's just onto 1. Goldlista getting their 10th kill of the game. They've been popping off on the Jinx throughout the series.
But now you can see so many members were allocated to that top lane by BCS that it gave Bornity and Ravel the idea to go into the mid lane uncontested. They managed to put the wave up. They don't get any damage on the tower, but now this forces BCS to do the same thing, waste time, split, and pushing this mid lane wave. And now Bornity and Ravel can maybe look to index toward this top side, get themselves a numbers advantage. But it looks like the members all across the board, they're just going to recall. This Baron is about a minute away from spawning, and Sunrush, I don't think they're going to get away with a heist this time. I think Big Chillers, they're going to have their eyes on this Baron, and they're going to make sure that it belongs to them.
Yeah, and a big thing that I'm not seeing for the Sunrush side is no one has indexed into anti-heal. The Jinx with the Bloodthirster, the Solstice Slay from Braum, and importantly and biggest of all, the Spirit Visage Zac with a Chemtech Soul are just going to be free healing throughout this game. But honestly, you kind of have to ask who can index into anti-heal. Do you really want your Akshan, who has been your sole, like, AD threat to try and pick up that extra item? Do you want TF, who's already been struggling in terms of econ in this game, to index into that extra 800 gold? It's a tough decision to make, but somebody has to do it, because if Zac is just allowed to free heal throughout these team fights, there's no way you're breaking through him.
I also feel like it's really, really difficult for SunRush to break through this volley order. They don't have any pen on their team. You can see Goat Lista just picked up that last Whisper as I said that, but the question is going to be, is that enough? Feels like Goat Lista has really been able to tear through all the members of SunRush except this Volley Bear, so maybe that item will make the difference. We'll have to wait and see. Baron is up. Waves are pushing in favor of SunRush, constricting the movements of Big Chillers. It's going to be up to them to fight back. They have to group up. And that's going to give a map advantage to SunRush. They can take complete control of this river, make it belong to them, and make BCS walk into them. We'll have to just wait and see if there's anything that either of the teams can do. Who's going to pull the trigger first?
Yeah, nobody wants to be the pick that loses you the game. As Razzle just going to take a little bit of damage, but he's on the full tank Volley Bear. He'll eat a decent chunk of his health bar thanks to that damage, but again, full tank Volley Bear, he'll be able to sustain up just a little bit more. That Kainic Rook shield will come back and make his health bar look a little bit bigger than it actually is. But the Nico jungle that we were questioning throughout the draft and being like, is this really the pick we want to go for? 8-1 and
Really
10. 18 out of 21 kill participation is pretty damn good, if you do say so yourself, as he's going to tank up that Spoil Seed, but he's going to be just fine. 10-stack Darksteel in his inventory as well. This, and again, techniques on the engages has been so huge for his team, finding these picks, especially on the Hornady, or the struggling that he's been doing in this game, but onto these important members who can be picked off, these ones who are squishy enough to start those 4 versus 5 fights in Big Chiller's favor.
You can see Technics looking for more shenanigans. There are conveniently 2 cannon minions in that wave. No one suspects a thing. I honestly feel like Technics might have failed his prop hunt exam. He was in high school. He must not have been very good at that game.
Pop Blossom, it finds 2! He might have failed the prop hunt, but he's damn good on the Nico. Hyper Carry goes down. Zooey now forced to run away, trying to kite out Dr. Phil and Chill. They might have overextended a little bit more. He's gonna go for the back line. He finds shutdown gold on 2 Technics. He immediately dies in response. Go, this is gonna go legendary. But hey, if you're a 0 and 8 Twisted Fate, you might as well be 1 and 8, right? Hang on, Rabble actually caught up by that charm. The Glacial Fissure going to be forced to flash away from Rabble. Zooey not in range of it, does not get knocked up. Because he's maybe looking for a pick here on Dr. Phil and Chill. He's going to force that flash out. T-Lights doing a great job of taking the front line to McHale's just to make sure that Zooey does not get caught out, but Rabble will die for the sins of his mid laner. Goat Lista finds their 12th.
Goat Lista finds their 12th, and now Hybrid Carry about to come up in about 8 seconds here. But both of these objectives are about to spawn. Baron is up. Elder is coming up in about 10 seconds. I'm really curious to see if either of these teams are going to look for a trade or if it's just going to be determined by a fight instead. All the members going to respawn quickly, but Rabble is the one down, so it is a 4v5 in favor of BCS. It's going to have to be SunRush playing into Big Chillers, who now own this river.
I'm a little worried for our connection there, but everything's fine. I do want to point out, yeah, that is a stride breaker in the inventory of Zooey. That's a questionable decision for him at best, as the Elder Dragon, he's going to be started up. Technics, he's here into the pit. His respawn time are not that long. Super Chase doing a good job frontlining for the team. Dr. Phil and Chill
making his way over.
Yeah, Dr. Phil and Chill. Someone's gonna have to tank up this option. LT Lights with the Unbreakable will manage to stop it. Super Chase maybe looking for an engage here. Technics under the back line. He's fine. It's just elation for the favor in the favor of Big Chillers. But hang on, Zooey just found a respawn. Hornady is gonna get revived, but in the meantime, Hyper Carry has already gone down. Dr. Phil and Chill potentially in trouble. Zooey's gonna heroic swing all the way back behind. Dr. Phil and Chill's gonna live with a sliver of HP. Super Chase now so tanky onto this Zac. So we cannot find any more resets. And it's a close fight, but it's heavily in favor of Big Chillers, as it looks like they should just be able to take the Elder off the back.
Rutledge has TP. He has the ability to go to base and TP back to the fight if he wants to. This fight could still swing in SunRush. They could at least try to get key members off of this Elder. Rutledge is coming in.
4K. I don't think they're going to have a chance to look for any sort of a steal, but Dr. Phil and Chill is also teleported into the fight. Hornady, my friend, you are just caught out again. T-Lights finds that kill for his 3rd.
Resets.
The other Dragon's going to reset. It's just going to slow down the take a little bit more. Technics will respawn to pick up the buff as well. Good for him. He earned it this game. But it's just, again, Big Chillers punishing the over-aggression, and Technics, again, with a beautiful engage out of the back line.
Yeah, Technics routinely getting good 3 to 4 man pop. Blossoms really swinging the fights in favor of BCS. We questioned the Nico pick, but it doesn't matter if Nico is in top, mid, jungle, support, AD. It does not matter. This champion and their ultimate is useful no matter what. And Technics is showing that in his performance. And now BCS, they have Soul, they have Elder, they have all the resources to force a fight. They could look for a Baron, they could look for a pick, and now Sunrush, they just have to hope that BCS make a mistake, that one of their members gets caught out, because at that point, that's all they can do. They can just pray that the opposition somehow messes up.
Yeah, I really honestly think that Big Chillers could just start the Baron at their leisure at this point.
Absolutely.
They have the Elder Dragon, they have only 3,000 gold in their lead, surprisingly enough, as it has been back and forth enough with the tower taking from the Sunrush. And we're getting to the point in the game where one team fight mistake can really end the game, but with Elder in your pocket, with how good Technics and Aegis have been, is there any reason not to start the Baron? And it looks like Big Chillers agree with me. They're just going to take this one down. There's no potential contest. Nothing doing. It's just gone. And Super Chase maybe actually wants to look for a pick here as Rabble maybe stepped up too far, but has the movement speed on himself, so he'll be able to walk it out.
But at the same time, they have the Baron, they have the Elder, they have the Soul, they have the keys to the kingdom to end this game and get themselves first in their group. But you have to be concerned about this Volibear still split pushing away on this side lane, and it's made even worse by the fact that neither of the Soul laners from Big Chillers have a teleport. So if they somehow lose a fight, if a fight goes the way of Sunrush, that could just be game over because Rutledge is perma split pushing. But now I think Super Chase, he has all these resources. He's going to force the Volibear to back. I think a 5v5 is on the horizon. Big Chillers, they have all the keys to be able to win it.
They're going to look just to force it down this turret to come up. It's only going to find a little bit of Pokemon to go list up. But this is the point in the game where players are getting nervous. Nobody wants to be the pick that loses your team the game. And nobody wants to flub the engage that loses your team the game. In this all-important game 3, the inhibitor will go down, but it just feels like Big Chillers, while they have the Baron buff and they have the Soul, the other's going to run out. So if there was ever going to be a fight for Sunrush, it's going to have to be soon. Super Chase is going to force the flash out of Bornity. It's getting pretty low. Rutledge still healthy on this front line, but Technics looking for an engage. Only finds another 2, but Zoe's one of them! Deletes the option. Hyper Carry has the zombies on the front line, but he's just deleted as well. It's all over for Sunrush. Big Chillers with a clean ace in the fight. Village Chill finds the last one for good measure, and Big Chillers will remain undefeated inside the division and take first place.
BCS, they managed to be the ones taking first place. Slow and steady wins the race, and they managed to take this series. Sunrush will have to settle for second. Such a grueling game 3, but BCS, they got the Elder, the Baron, the Soul, and it was just up to them to start the fight, and they were the ones who finished it. They destroyed the Nexus, and they are a team to be feared going into playoffs, as that is where we are headed next week and the coming weeks at that.
Yeah, I mean, again, when we were talking about it before game 1, this is a matchup that potentially could be later on in the brackets. Like, both of these teams could potentially make a semifinals or a finals run on their own right. And I think especially for Sunrush, losing this series to Big Chillers has to be a hit to the ego. At the very least, if not a wake-up sign to be like, okay, we're not undefeatable. We can bleed. There are some things we need to clean up in our early and mid game. And while they looked good in game 1, they had some moments of hope in game 2, and especially in game 3, it was a little back and forth, but they just couldn't manage to clean it down in the end. And Big Chillers just that little bit cleaner in the early game. I think especially the early game is such a big sticking point for this Big Chillers roster.
Absolutely. You know, we doubted it a little bit, but the Nico pick, Technics, easily the MVP of this game. I feel so many key pop blossoms, and just the ability to team fight, I thought was Big Chillers' greatest strength. They opted for team fight comps all throughout the series, and even when they didn't work, even when they lost the game or lost a fight, they still kept looking for 5v5, still kept looking for fights and drafting comps around that concept. And at the end of the day, it's what paid off. They out 5v5 Sunrush, and they have to be feeling good about that one, just playing to their strengths. So overall, There isn't much else to say. BCS, they take first in their group. They are going to be the winners of this series and knock Sunrush down to second. Congrats to them at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think both these teams have a lot that they can come back from the series with, and a lot that they can come back to improve. They can look back on the series and be like, okay, there are a lot of things we can clean up. I think Bing Chillers, especially looking at that game one, the lead they had, it felt like it was in their hands. Sunrush just that little bit better in the team fights. And while Bing Chillers did clean it up over the course of the series, there are other teams in different divisions that might be better than both of these teams on paper and might punish you a little bit more for those mistakes you make and not let you back in a series like this. They might take that momentum and just crush the whole series away. So I think for both of these teams, as happy as they are with the win for Bing Chillers and as upset as they might be for Sunrush on the loss, there's a lot that they can learn from it, and I'm really excited to see how deep these teams can go in a potential playoffs run.
And I mean, Bing Chillers are an org that have made deep runs in the past, right? They've gotten some championship wins as well. You and me, Brady, we both know Bing Chillers incredibly well. We both used to cast for the AGL. Bing Chillers Clear Comms was an incredibly hyped team in the AGL last split. So BCS, they're no story. I mean, they're no stranger to those sort of Cinderella stories. And I feel like it's not necessarily a Cinderella story with this squad. They've shown their strength. They've shown they're at the top of the table. All they have to do is clean up some of those mistakes, like you mentioned, Brittany, and they can easily make, semifinals, finals, get themselves a chip potentially. And I think other teams definitely need to be on the lookout for this squad.
Yeah, but speaking of those other teams, that's going to be it for a regular season. That's all of the placements done. We're just in the playoffs run now. We're going to have to see which teams are going to come out on top next week as we start the first round of playoffs. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. I've been Brittany. That's been Quacks. We'll see you all next week when playoffs start. Have a good night.